Welcome everyone. I think we've got about 6 or 7 people online as well, and we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 in the room here. So great. Welcome to Steps. This is the world premiere. You probably had to fight your way through the paparazzi to get in here. What's the idea of Steps? I think first of all, let's talk a little bit about this program that we put together. What we want to do is give you some tools to start or grow your business. Yeah. So this is going to be really, really practical. So business is not rocket science, which is lucky because I'm not a rocket scientist. But there are certain things you have to do and you have to do well if you're going to succeed. So what we wanted to put together was a structured program that would take you from sort of first steps through, not to the final steps, but to the point where you've got the basic survival kit to start and to run your own business. Yeah. So the module today is the first module for a very good reason. It's because we're going to talk about validating your idea. And this is the bit most people don't do. Because most people have an idea and they're so desperate to go and get on with it that they just leap to the sort of the end zone, if you like. We're going to use some Americanisms today. They go straight to the end zone and start doing it. And that, frankly, is the last thing you should be doing. So that's why we're starting when we're starting. And the idea is that each module is going to, the output of which is going to be some homework. So your homework is not just an academic exercise, so you can tick some boxes and say we've marked your homework. The idea is the homework is a useful tool for your business idea and the development of your idea. It's something, it'll give you something that you've actually worked on your business and you've moved through to the next stage in this process. So that's the idea. It is a one-size-fits-all program. So obviously there's a whole range of different business ideas with people in the lab. And I guess it's kind of impossible to have one program that will absolutely fit what everybody's thinking about. But I would say, certainly as far as this module is concerned, simply because I've written it, everything in here is applicable at some level to, I think, any type of business. So I think we'll exclude being a YouTube influencer or TikTok influencer. I know nothing about that. I'm a bit too old. So yeah, parking that aside of, making videos and getting paid gazillions for doing it. This is about inventing a product or a service and finding customers to buy that product and service. Yeah, if that's what your idea does, then this will be appropriate for you. How many have we got left after saying that? Okay. And I think the last thing to say about this whole process, in working through this, you might start to have doubts about your ideas. You might think, well, actually, it doesn't sound like I've got this right, or I don't understand this, or maybe the idea is not as great as I thought it was. That's okay. Yeah. Part of this process of formulating your ideas and validating your business is about deciding whether it stands a chance of success or not. Yeah, not every business idea succeeds. In fact, most don't. So I think the other takeout is it's okay if you decide halfway through this to bail on your idea. Don't bail on the course, because the course will give you the tools for the next idea that you have. Yeah. So it's an okay outcome if you decide to pause or bail on your business idea. Yeah. Because if it's not going to succeed, or if you don't know how to make it succeed, it's the best time to find that out.
No.
At the start, yeah? You don't want to invest 2 years of your life to then find out the idea is a dumb idea, yeah? So it's okay. That's the conclusion of this process. That's actually a result. So let's get started. There we go. So validating your business idea. Basically, we're trying to answer the question, can your brilliant, great, wonderful idea actually become a viable business? Yeah, that's what it's all about. And, my Mickey Mouse formula for what business is all about is you've got a demand that comes from the people that are going to use it. You've got a product or service that you've designed to meet that demand. And hopefully, if you play your cards right, that will result in sales revenue and profit to reinvest in the business to do great things. So what we're going to focus on today is demand. So it might surprise you that we're not going to talk at all about product or service. Yeah. For the purpose of validating your idea, we don't need to think about that. We're going to spend all of today focusing on the people that might buy the thing that we're going to go and do. Yeah. Because everything starts with the market. That was one of the first pieces of advice I got when we started a business, and we had some mentors, luckily, otherwise we probably wouldn't have succeeded. And one of the favourite phrases of one of our mentors was, everything starts with the market. Yeah, and this absolutely, I'm sort of 30, 40 years later, I absolutely believe that to be correct. Yeah, so that's all we're going to talk about today. Because not every great idea for a product or service is a great business. So to validate your idea is going to demand that you get inside the head of the people, metaphorically, get inside the head of the people that are going to buy your stuff, your idea. Yeah. So, we live in our own bubble, clearly, as human beings, but that's our entire knowledge of the world. We've got to try and transplant ourselves out of our own heads and look at our idea and look at our potential customers from a distant perspective and try and understand the way they tick. Yeah. But I said business isn't rocket science, but then, neither is digging a hole. It can still be hard work. Yeah. So, these are the hard yards that you have to do. This isn't easy. It's not difficult to understand, but it really is quite hard to do. But these are some of the hard yards we have to do in business. It's not all fun. And it includes tasks like this that are not perhaps quite as interesting as some of the other stuff that you'll be getting into. And the other thing I'd say before we start on this is this isn't just for now. This is a lifelong mindset. Yeah. Doesn't matter how successful you get at business, the moment you lose sight of the people that buy your stuff, you're screwed. Yeah, bluntly. And of course, egos get in the way. Once you get a bit of success, you suddenly think, well, I don't need to understand what my customers are talking about. I can tell them what to do. Big mistake. So you never, ever stop this process that we're going to talk about today, however successful you get. And it's not just for startup businesses, it's for monster businesses too. So wherever you end up working, this is relevant. And as I said at the start, this is vital for startup survival. Yeah, you do this before you do anything else. Please believe me on that one. And if you haven't done it yet, but you've kind of started, I strongly would suggest pause and rewind and do this work. So we'll have a check. Can everyone hear us okay, if they can't see the slides? Has everyone got the slides? We're all good? Yeah. Okay, fine. So I guess I should introduce myself, really. So I'm Graham. I was an engineer here back in the previous millennia. Which sounds a bit scary. It was scary. It was a long time ago. So after leaving university, I worked for a couple of companies, and then I got involved in my first startup business on the science park down on Highfields. Science Park there, near the old university site, which was the only university site back when I was around. I've had 3 startups that we've done. And I've kind of done the whole range, really, from a bootstrap with our own pocket money. We've raised venture capital for one of them, and another one was kind of organically grown as well. And because those businesses got bought by some monster businesses, I ended up working in businesses that turn over, $20–30 billion, and see both sides of the coin, if you like, which is why I can say with some confidence these skills you need, whether you're in a massive corporate job or whether you are in an office on your own trying to start your own business. My expertise, such as it is really, I wasn't a very engineer, so sales, strategic planning, product development, and product marketing were the things that I did. But for technical products, we engineered stuff, we found the markets for it, and we sold it. So I've lived this stuff. I've written more business plans than I can count, pitches for business ideas, pitches to venture capitalists. They all had to be thoroughly validated to earn the investment of the outside venture capitalists or the investment of the company that I was working for. And personally, I've always tried to view the business through the eyes of the customer, not through the people that work there. That's kind of been my mantra. So I believe this. I'm not just saying it. It works, and I've done it all my career. So just in case you were wondering who is this guy and has he got any authority to say this? This is a workshop. So I didn't know that we were going to have a bunch of people online. So this is going to be interesting. So I've got 3 or 4 breakout sessions just to give you guys a rest from my own voice, which are basically going to be, I'm going to pose a question and I'm just interested to get your feedback of what you think, what's going on in your heads about what you think the answers to those questions will be. And then we'll have a look, not to mark your answers, but we'll have a look at what I think are the most important aspects in terms of answering these questions. So the very first question is, why do companies or people, if we're selling to individuals, buy a product or a service? Yeah. So I think it's slightly too big a group to do it all in one group. Maybe how do you feel? If you want to split into 2 and sort of go into each corner, these are about 5, no more than 10 minutes. Is it easier to split into sort of 2, a 4 and a 3, or do you want to just sit around the table and do it all together and not go and take a break?
Yeah, we'll do it all together.
Yeah, okay, fine. So the question is, we're looking here for the motives. What are the reasons people buy stuff? And if you think, well, I don't know, then think about yourself. Why do you? It's always good to check, I think, when you're talking about trying to get in the head of the customer. Well, what would I do? I'm a potential customer for this. What's my thoughts? So if you're struggling with thinking about why other people buy, think why you buy. What's the motivations? And when you've thought of some reasons, try and get beneath the surface of it a little bit. I buy stuff because I want it. Okay, why? Ask yourselves a few whys. Why do you want it? What's your motivation? That will help you to sort of dig beneath the obvious answer a little bit. So I'm going to give you, for those of you online, you'll have to sort of talk to your own screen and see what your screen says to you. And we'll get back together in probably, I would guess, about 5 minutes is probably enough for this. And we'll see what people have got to say. Yeah, any questions on that?
Yeah, I'm going to quickly jump in. So I think to make it easier, the people in the room can talk away and I'll leave the microphone open so the people online can still hear. I think the people online, you'll just have to make notes. You'll be able to hear what people in the room are saying. And then when we come to review, we're going to split it. So the people in the room can say some points and then we'll do a section after where the people online can say some points and then we'll progress. Okay, so if everyone's happy with that, what time do you want to come back with?
So we'll come back at about, it's now, 16, 17 minutes past. We'll come back at about, no later than, we'll give it till 25 past.
Yeah.
That's just over 5
So
minutes.
25 past.
Give you a chance to get organised and then, okay, you all clear on the question? Any questions on what you need to do? Okay, this is just a bit of an icebreaker, so don't panic too much. This is not part of the assessment. Okay, I'll go and fill my coffee cup up. I'll let you guys get to it.
Okay.
Start, please.
Yeah, well, what are you guys thinking when Graham kind of said, stop in terms of thinking about your product or your service, and do you actually have a client base? Like, how much have you actually thought about your customers?
I did think about it, because I'm a scientist myself, so my product is designed for scientists. But I go with the assumption that all those scientists think like me.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a risky thing. So yeah, I need to kind of test it a bit more.
Great. And hands up if you've done market research that you feel.
What's time?
Market research. Okay. So basically it's researching your market. So basically
with practical.
there are lots of different ways to do it. So people who do it best, I think they tried several approaches. So sometimes people would conduct surveys. Sometimes people would be in a setting like this and do something called a focus group, where you might ask specific questions around your product or your sector, and you kind of record the answers. So that all falls under the umbrella of market research. But yeah, there used to be a school of thought in terms of business was led by the product. Then I think there's so many businesses crashed But then, you know, business schools like ours kind of realize, actually, I think it begins with the customer. So let's move away from the product. So yeah, let's get into these questions though. Discuss possible reasons with your colleagues. Think about the reasons that you buy. So
Yeah, go ahead. To improve the quality of the product that already have.
okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Apple ego. Sometimes it might not really need it, but because it's a superior brand, you're like, I want that.
That makes me think of like Starbucks and. Why else do you buy?
I don't want.
You don't buy. So she's still. You never bought anything.
No, I mean, actually, different people think different. For example, for me, usually I buy something I do need that one. It's not because of, for example, I like this, I want to do this.
So out of necessity. you
Yeah,
need-
when something is necessary, yes. That's why usually I go to grocery, not shopping for other things.
For clothes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you got different kind of buyers here. Why else? Why do you buy? Because you seem quite a serious buyer.
I also buy what I need.
You buy out what you need, okay. No shopping addiction here.
And what I buy should last a time frame that I allocate it. So I just don't buy for buying sake. I dedicate a time frame. Assuming this thing, I think I will need it for, let's say, a year. I'll look at it. Will the quality of the item last the duration that I want? So I do a lot of things into for that.
And so there's a really sort of amazing product that's quite, you know, fancy and expensive. You're looking to say, actually, I don't even need it to last 10 or 20 years. I need it for a year. So I'll get an adequate product for that.
Recently, I say January, I went to buy a plasma TV, and I was going from 8K. 8K currently, the one on the market is 4K, and 4K will fade, let's say, in a year or two's time, because 8K is an advanced technology. So it's going for 8K, which probably by the time it fades, maybe in 5 years' time. So that's the way to do it.
So what kind of buyer is he? Listening to his motivations, how would you describe him?
Informed.
Informed,
Strategic buyer.
informed, strategic.
Is it tech conscious?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite controlled, isn't he?
I wish I was like you.
That's really good. And how would you describe yourself?
I think I'm quite picky.
So you're picky, okay, okay. He knows
Picky
what he
customer.
wants, okay, good. And how about you?
Okay, I don't know if this just makes me as a person, but I think whenever you see something on deal or when something's like marked or marked out, like it doesn't matter if you really need it, you just go for it. Maybe
Okay.
it's just like a mentality, like just in going grocery shopping and then you see like Swedish meatballs just 50% off. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm 50, so might as well try it.
Budget buyer.
Not budget, but I feel like I'd experiment more if there's less risk to my, financially.
I like that.
Yeah, so you're the dream when they see you coming in, they're like, yes, he's here.
Experimental buyer.
Great, okay.
It's nearly
experimental.
time, so you've got a couple more minutes.
Okay, so if we go beneath the surface and dig a bit into the whys, is there anything a bit deeper that we haven't looked into?
I also buy something that I cannot produce myself.
Okay.
For example, if I don't have a garden where I can like grow my vegetables, I have to go to the supermarket and buy the vegetables.
Okay, so convenience, maybe is it something that you can't do or something that will be harder for you to do?
Yeah, like in terms of time also, like it's quicker like to go to the supermarket rather than cultivate my own vegetables.
Okay, so you got some great buying motivations here. Just in our last minute, let's think about the whys, because we kind of got the what, so we know what type of buyers we are. Is there any why underneath the fact that you would just go for deals all the time without thinking the way Ebenezer would? Is there a deeper why under that?
I think it's less of the why and just more of like being free, because see, if you have less like risk in it, then you have more freedom to choose choice, right? You don't feel as bad if it goes bad. Yeah, but if you're spending like 10 quid on some really bougie meat and then it just turns out to be really bad, you feel really bad about it.
Okay.
But if it's marked down, you don't feel as bad about it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so there we go.
And slight change of plans. The people online have been voicing their opinion in the chat.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we'll do some in the room and then I'll just go through theirs and let it have to speed up the process a bit. So yeah, when you're ready in the room.
Okay, let's have a bit of feedback then for someone like, other than Terry, like to give me a summary of some of the things that, sorry, I'm not shutting you out here. I'm just making somebody else do the work.
So we got how many points? We've got 7 points.
Okay,
To improve quality of life. So we also have ego buying because Apple is good, I must have an Apple.
yeah,
Necessity.
yeah,
Informed, strategic. And we have experimental. I've seen it on TV, I want to try it. Which one? Convenience.
yeah,
I can't make it, so I need to buy it.
Yes,
This one.
yeah.
need,
Yeah,
Necessity,
so
yeah.
necessity.
yeah.
Do we have it there, necessity?
That's, necessity,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
So
It's convenience as alternatives, because she talked about alternatives.
Which mean by alternatives?
So if there's no alternative to it, then I can buy.
Okay, interesting.
Power choice, I guess.
Choice, yeah.
Yeah, choice.
What have we got online?
okay, we've got to make life easier.
Okay,
So
can we go for improved quality?
Yeah, that's what there, some problems. Rachel's put to treat myself.
I agree.
So
Yeah,
indulgence.
that's the ego.
Okay, yeah, the specific. Okay, so a specific problem. So
Yeah.
they're trying to problem solve something in particular. One of my favourite ones, and this relates to me, is efficiency. So if it will gain me an hour, I'm happy to spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's see what else we've got. Goals. Yeah, efficiency. Ego. Yeah. And then the other one is values. So sustainability, things like that. If it aligns with those elements, they might choose something over something else.
okay,
Cool. I think that's pretty much everything.
excellent, thank you for that. Okay, that's an interesting mix. So I think this is quite interesting because we're in an academic environment. Some of the answers are quite academic. So some of these, I would say, fall into the category of explaining why you bought it, rather than the actual driving force that made you buy it. Yeah, so sometimes I think it's at the risk of getting in. I'm from another era, so we tend to sort of give examples that maybe are not too PC these days. But you know, the example is you just been out and bought this shiny new brand new car, and now you've got to go home and explain to the wife why you've just blown the family budget on this nice shiny car. Yeah. So the reason you bought it because I really wanted that car. Yeah. The logical reason would be, look how much money we got for the kids. You know, we can get all this stuff in when we go away on holiday together. You try, you know, that's kind of quite often some of these things fall into that category. That's not the reason you actually bought it. It's the logic and the story that we tell ourselves as to actually why that was okay. Yeah. So I think that some of those might fall into that category, you know, well, certainly ego does. Values to some extent, because okay, given if we have to buy something, we prefer to buy it if it matches up with our values, if it doesn't destroy the planet or do those kind of things. But that's, again, an explanation, it doesn't explain why I have to buy something, yeah? Problem solving and efficiency are interesting ones, because that's, I think, quite close to some of the stuff that we want to talk about. But thank you for that. It's a good idea. It's helpful for me to know where people's heads are. I said this was going to be practical, yeah? So we're going to focus on the raw, visceral reasons why people buy stuff. I'll leave you to make up how we intellectually justify it to ourselves and our partners. From my experience, particularly selling a product through a service through another business, and to some degree to a consumer, the number one reason that people buy something is to fix a problem. And the problem has to be a source of pain, yeah, to you as an individual or to you as a business. Now, pain is a very popular way to talk about buying drivers and sales, but we're going to sort of try not to be too American about this, in terms of Americans love to talk about the pain that drives sales, but this notion of a problem isn't necessarily a pain, yeah? I have problems in my life. My car needs feeding with diesel, that's a problem. It's not, can't do anything about it, if I can afford it, I'll put the diesel in and I'll drive. Yeah, it's not really a source of pain until I haven't got the money to put the diesel in the car, yeah? Then it becomes a pain. So not every problem creates pain that drives the need to buy, yeah? So pain manifests itself, in different ways, whether you're a business or whether you're a person. Some pain causes you immense amounts of stress. In the working environment, that could be, to your efficiency point, if something takes me 4 hours to do that I think should take me 5 minutes, that's a pain. That stresses me out. Yeah, that stresses me out, and I'd like to take that away, because that means I can do something else with my 4 hours, or it means I can go home on time. Yeah, that's pain. Yeah. Money is the obvious one. If you're in a business, you've got a product or a service that doesn't work very well. It's costing you money, it's costing the business money, and the business is giving you a slap around the head to say, go fix this, we can't afford this, we need a different solution. Yeah. So that's the financial aspect. Time, a bit related to stress. But again, it's and efficiency as well. Time is money in business, certainly, and to people to some degree as well. We all like to spend our time differently, and we'd rather not do it doing the mundane stuff that maybe an inefficient product or service that we use has that. We might not like something because it destroys the planet, destroys the environment, and that might be a source of pain. It might be a source of pain because my business is getting fined for polluting the environment or consuming too much power that's costing money. But it could be something I'm upset about in my own personal life. I personally, despite the fact I made a living out of printing on plastic packaging, I hate plastic packaging with a vengeance, because of everything it represents. So, but I said we're going to look at the reasons. Pain, or the most powerful form of inconvenience in a business or in someone's life, is the stuff that really hits the person involved the hardest, yeah? So, whether it's your marriage, your family, your personal finances. So let's put this in context. I used to develop machinery that you put in factories that run on production lines, yeah? So when that machinery stops working, the production line stops, factories doesn't produce any goods, and everyone gets very upset about that, yeah? Now, we made a living, one of the products that we sold replaced the previous technology. That technology was very unreliable, yeah? So if you're a maintenance engineer in that factory, going to one of the previous generation products, every day you'd have to go to it, spend 2 hours of your life fixing it to keep it running for the day, yeah? Now, if you're a maintenance engineer, well, you're paid to do that, and therefore, yeah, I hate going to that thing every day, but does it really cause me pain? No, the boss tells me to go fix it, I go fix it, and then I go do something else. If you're the boss, you're the one attending the daily meeting with your managers, which is, what are you doing about that heap of crap that keeps breaking, yeah? So that's personal pressure. The fact that you're spending hours of your day worrying about that piece of machinery that is not working means that you're not doing other things on your job, yeah? That might mean that the amount of time you've invested in fixing that thing affects your family. It could be the reason you go in on a Sunday morning to fix that thing or to organise getting it fixed. It might be the reason that because you're spending so much time fixing that thing and managing the fixing of it, you're not actually getting the time to spend on the stuff that your bonus depends on. So when your 12 monthly review comes up and the boss says, sorry, pal, you're not getting your bonus because you haven't done this, that's pain, because you told your wife and family you're going to take them on a special holiday this year, and that was going to be paid for by your bonus. That's pain. Yeah. So what I'm trying to get across here is, yeah, it's not just stuff that isn't very good, it's a bit rubbish. It's stuff that actually has an impact on business life or personal lives, and the more it hurts, the more motivated somebody is to spend money to do something about it. In all these instances, pretty much, apart from the necessity, which is we have to eat and drink, the act of spending money is discretionary. Yeah, you don't have to spend it. Yeah, so something makes you do it. Yeah, and the point I'm trying to make here is the thing that makes you do it the most is the stuff that's really hurting you a lot. Yeah, so to put that in the context of your idea, these are some of the things that we're going to be thinking about later. Yeah, said that. The other reason pain is important is the more it hurts, the more someone will pay to fix it. Yeah, and people often talk about pricing. Well, why do we price our product or our idea like we do? And some of it is like, it's all I'm really comfortable charging for it. It's kind of the way a lot of people feel. But actually, this is part of working out what the value is of your product or proposition. Yeah, you get paid for the value, not for what you're comfortable charging for it. So again, the more value that's attached to this problem, the more time it loses in a factory, the more it messes up with people's lives, the more money generally people will spend to fix the problem. Yeah. So these are the things that we're going to be thinking about. But so in the context of your business idea, what I want you to go away and think about when you sort of review this is to say, what's my idea? What pain does it actually fix? Yeah. What is the problem I'm solving? That's part of the exercise that we're going to be working on. It's got nothing to do with how clever your idea is. It's got nothing to do with it. No, you think no one's ever thought of this before. What is the problem I'm going out there to solve? Or the service that I'm delivering, what does that service do for people? Yeah. This is about getting away from our idea and getting into the head of the user. Yeah. Now, there is, of course, another reason people buy. And I think this goes back to the ego one. And when we want to treat ourselves, we buy it for pleasure or reward. Now, business to business, I don't know too many companies that buy stuff to make everyone happy, apart from Google, that gives you a table tennis table and a ball pit playing. But, you know, this is rarer, perhaps a bit more relevant if you're selling directly to consumers. But, you know, there might be reasons behind these apparent, you know, what are the reasons people splurge on stuff? Is it ego? You know, the Lamborghini driver, you know, probably not bothered that it's got 12 cylinders and 600 brake horsepower and goes from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Unless they're a petrol head, of course. But on the other hand, you know, if it's ego, then the selling pitch to that person would be not, look at this great car, it's got 12 cylinders and 600 brake horsepower and all that nonsense. Just imagine the sales pitch will be something like, imagine how you're going to feel driving this into Casino Square in Monte Carlo on the day of the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. Yeah, that's feeding the ego. Yeah, that's why they're buying it. Yeah, so it could be they're an adrenaline junkie, in which case, you know, what kind of adrenaline do you like? You know, is it, and why do you want it? You know, what gives you your kicks? They're the kind of questions you need to understand in your prospective customer. If it's sitting in a very expensive hotel with nothing to see but Japan, 3,000 miles in the distance, why are you there? Is it really to treat yourself, or is it because you're so stressed out from your job that you need, you know, these are the reasons behind why people splash the money on these toys, yeah? So even if it's a pleasure or a reward that you think your idea is servicing, you still got to get in the heads of the prospective customer to understand what really drives them, so that you know why they're going to buy your Lamborghini and not the Ferrari and not the Porsche and not the, you know, whatever Koenigsegg or whatever other petrol car you can think of. So it's still relevant. You know, there's a lady in the lab, I'll use this example, I haven't seen her for a while, Miss Pearl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Pearl Cosmetics, she founded her idea in her kitchen, I think. She was making her products in the kitchen. And on the face of it, cosmetic, that's kind of a luxury, you know, nice to have purchase, isn't it? Treating yourself. Well, actually, no, you know, she's targeted her business for people that have skin problems, where conventional products with all the additives don't work. And she's got a natural solution that is also eco-friendly because it doesn't have all, it doesn't, you're not shipping water around the planet and so on and so forth. So even then, in what's apparently a luxury purchase, if you like, would never say that when my wife was in the room. Apparently, it's essential. But you know, even that what's driving the purchase is people that are sick to death of these other cosmetics that mess their skin up, that don't fit with their environmental ideals. That's the driving reason why they buy that product and not the 1,000 other products that you can get in the, you know, whatever beauty shop you go into. But most of the time, the number one reason, the driver that drives all of these excuses is the desire, the need, better than desire, to fix the problem. And what that problem is doing to their business, their lives, whatever. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the takeout here is your number one building block for 101 survival course. Understanding everything you can about the impact of the problem you think your idea is going to solve is absolutely key to everything you do from that point on. Yeah? Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, how do you assess? Because pain can be relative.
Sure.
What's painful to you might
Exactly.
be literally,
Yeah.
why do you care? How do you ensure that your assessment of pain is not just in your head,
Yeah,
but is
we're going to come to that. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a great question, because one of the flaws that entrepreneurs have is that because we think our idea is so brilliant and we see the world in our own bubble, yeah, that solving that problem might be the most wonderful thing I think the world has ever come up with. As you rightly say, you know, most people might not give a monkeys. And that would be a huge business error. You set your business up, you launch it on the world, expecting to be, you know, the phones be ringing off the hook, the internet's burning down, you know, trying to get to you to buy your stuff, and nothing happens. Yeah. So we'll get there. But good question.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think sometimes there is no a real pain or there is no a real need, but marketing person creates need for people. They say, you know, if you don't do this, for example, if you don't have luxury car, it means you cannot enjoy your life and the future. You have this kind of problems. Why the life is short, and they create needs for people.
Mm.
For example, for me,
Apple.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
But I think you're right. You need a massive budget usually to do that. So for the startup business, if your idea requires you to change the world first, you might be having a bit of an uphill struggle. Yeah, it's a very good point.
No need changing the word. Sometimes, for example, I have a friend.
Yeah, but you've got to
I
get.
say, I tell them, for example, because I'm a website developer, okay? I said, do you know without a software or website, you cannot find a good customer or something like that? And I say, and then he asked, okay, there's a need. I cannot do anything except buying.
Certainly, marketing can change people's behaviour.
Yeah.
Sometimes only in the short term, sometimes for the longer term. But for most startup businesses, that's really not an option. Because you simply haven't got the reach to reach enough people to mess with their heads to make them want something. And the problem with that is, of course, it's got to be a very effective campaign to drive that need. When resources are scarce, what am I going to spend my small budget on? It can happen. I accept that, but I think for most of us starting out in business, we don't have that. We don't have that luxury. So we're going to focus on. So take out number one was do everything you can. We'll come on to the how later. So this is kind of setting out what we need to know. And I'm going to give you some ideas as to the how at the end. Yeah. So just sort of hang on and wait for that bit. So one of the vital things that you have to do, and this is like task number one in your homework after this session today, is to be able to describe what you do, your business idea. Yeah. And most entrepreneurs are appallingly bad at this. I've read countless business plans since I've been here from people that are entering competitions nationally or locally. And everyone, almost everyone, either doesn't do this at all or completely fails at doing it. Yeah. And this is really bad because as a person starting out in business, if someone walks up to you, who might be a customer, and says, "What do you do?" If you stare into space with your jaw on the floor, thinking, "I don't know what to say now," or worse still, talk for 15 minutes without taking an intake of breath, and then when you turn around to speak to your prospective customer, you realise they've actually headed out the door about 10 minutes ago. But it all stems from this inability that people have to describe what they do. So we're going to do I'm not going to do an exercise here. I'm going to give you how you do this, yeah? Because it's, again, in terms of survival skills, it's very difficult to grow your business if you can't tell people what you do. So take out number one is no one gives a monkey what you do or how clever you are. Yeah. So going back to what we said, the only thing they're motivated by usually is what's in it for them. Yeah. So exhausting calories, oxygen, explaining how you do what you do and why it's so clever, as an initial explanation of what you do is not only a waste of time, it is completely counterproductive. Yeah. So what we need to focus on is this, the pain that you're going to fix. So you have to be able to describe your business and your idea in the terms of the problems that you are fixing. So, in a simple sentence, my business does X to solve our customers' problems with A, B, and C. Now, okay, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that maybe, but that is the essence of it. I'm in business to solve these problems. You don't care how right now, you might in a minute, but that's got the message across and it focuses on the problems, not your product or your service. Yeah. That's the mindset that you have to have when you speak about your business. If it helps, my favourite question and my most annoying question that upsets lots of people is, so what? Now, if I'm being not normally quite that rude, so I have a polite version of so what, but if I'm really getting irritated by somebody or something that they cannot explain what they do in words of one syllable to me, when they finished their 15-minute speech talking about atoms and bits and bytes and molecular interactions, I'll just say, so what? And they all look at me like, yeah, that's pretty rude. Yeah, it is. But that's the so what is, where's it gone? Here. Yeah. So what? The so what is, and this is what it's going to do for you. Yeah. So answer the so what question. And when you've come up with your statement of this is what we do, the check is, does it answer that arrogant git who gave the session that keeps saying so what? Yeah. If it answers that so what question, you're on the right track. And the reason you're on the right track is this is what we do. It's the initiative. The so what? Why does it matter? Why is it significant? And if you've got that, then it leads you to the next steps. I get it. I get why it matters. I'm now either interested or not interested. Yeah. But I haven't had to endure a 15-minute speech about the democratization of this, that, or the other that's, you know, enabling the social interactions of, so what? You know, it's, this subject frustrates me. My last business that I worked for, my MD, bless him, I was a sales director there. He loved telling people how clever we were. Yeah, we did stuff, you know, that did stuff that most people don't care about. But we've stopped people making mistakes, and we stopped those mistakes costing companies hundreds of thousands of pounds. Yeah, but Mike, bless him, would talk their ears off about all this clever stuff. And yeah, we were friends and we were kind of equals, but I never did the so what on him in public. But you know, several times in the car afterwards, I said, God's sake, so what? Who cares? They want to know what we're going to do for them. Yeah, clear? So this is what we do and why it matters to the person that's buying it, not why it matters to you. Yeah, we know you should know why it matters to you. It's why you're doing it. It's what it matters to the person that buys it. Clarity is everything. Please, no business jargon. We're not at university now. We are, but you know, when you're in your business world, you are not at university. You're not trying to impress somebody with your business vocabulary. You are simply trying to talk to a human being who probably doesn't know that vocabulary. Keep it simple. If your mum or your dad or your little sister wouldn't understand it, you've got it wrong. Yeah, 2 or 3 sentences only. That's about, these days, most people's attention span, it seems. Yeah, anything longer than that, they're not listening. They're looking for a way out to get out of this conversation. No intellectual posturing, just trying to prove how clever we are. The objective is to communicate your idea on why it matters to your potential customer. Happy days when you have an employee and you want to employ them, they can ask, well, what do you do then? Why should I work here? You go, you know, why does this matter? Not how clever we are. To potential investors, their first question, you know, will be, what is the market you serve and why does your idea matter? Guarantee that's their first question. And most of all, you've got to convince yourself or unconvince yourself of your previous conceptions, if you like. So that's going to be your task 1 of your homework. The list and the stuff available to tell you what to do, so you don't have to make a note of that. But once you understand you've got to get in the head of the customer, you've now got to come up with this phrase. This is what I do and why it matters to that person. Yeah. Warning. This is probably much harder than you think it is. Yeah. Don't worry. It took me a long while to get my head around this. And when I do this kind of thing, I kick these phrases around and I think that just doesn't make any sense. And suddenly, if I kick it around for long enough, dog walking is my therapy for doing this. You kick it around for long enough and then suddenly it comes to you. Yeah. So persevere. If you're finding it hard, that's okay. However, you really can't do it. Ask yourself the question, is the problem is I'm just rubbish at English? Or is it actually because there is no need or pain for my idea? Yeah. Or I don't know what it is yet. Is that the reason you're struggling to do this? Because most people are okay at saying, this is what we do. It's the second half of the sentence that's the problem. Yeah. And if you really, really can't do it, is it because you haven't really got your head around pain that your idea is solving? In which case, fix that problem first, then worry about the English later. Yeah. Couple of trivial examples. So, what I mean here. So when I was your age, our version of portable music was a Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
This was a infernal machine that consumed these devices, literally consumed them, because after about 10 plays, it would just shred it into bits and then that would be useless. So for those of you that are not old enough, this is a cassette. There's a touch screen. This is a cassette. At best, now in the old days, we used to listen to music on albums. This was a collection of tracks. Yeah, I mean, you guys just consume tracks these days. So an album, you get about 2 of those on a tape. You could buy bigger tapes, but they just screwed up quicker. So the optimum was the C90 cassette, 45 minutes each side, and that's about enough for 2 albums. So your portable music consisted of 2 records, basically. And you carried it around on this thing, you plugged your cassette in, you put your headphones on, the batteries lasted about 45 minutes, and then you needed to go and buy some new ones. No, it was not rechargeable. So for those of us that liked our music, we still thought this was pretty cool because previously our music consumption involved a massive piece of furniture that was nailed to the wall and plugged in. And you had to sit there and listen to stuff, usually with the lights out, and Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon or something. But, you know, this was a great thing, but it had some problems. There was some pain involved here. You know, if you had a record collection with 150 records in, it's a bit limiting to only have 2 of them in your hand when you're walking around for a week or so. So, bless him, Steve Jobs came up with this, the first iPod, yeah? And this thing was a bit revolutionary. Now, to make my point, if I'm now going to do a really rubbish job of explaining to the world what I've done and why it matters, yeah? And this you could argue is a purchase for pleasure and, you know, rewarding yourself. But for those of us that were into our music, this was a large pain, yeah? You know, the rubbish explanation is, and I've heard explanations like this from businesses in the lab and in other labs, but, you know, a rubbish description would be, we are democratizing and expanding the consumption of audible media using a microprocessor-based SSD device, broadcasting MP3 audio in full 16-bit lossless format. We use an LCD UI that features an analog navigation wheel, give this look, to deliver an unparalleled UX.
What?
Exactly. Yeah, so what? In fact, well done, there's the kid. You know, trust me, I've read paragraphs like this in business plans. You know, doesn't mean anything. It's a perfectly accurate description of what this thing is and what it does. Yeah, doesn't mean anything to anybody. Yeah, it hasn't described the problem it's fixing. It's just telling you how it does it. Yeah, something that's a bit better is this. What do you do? We're an electronics company. We make a portable music player. It's as small as a cigarette packet. Yeah, I know. Sorry, that's not really PC these days. Is it? It enables you to carry and listen to your entire music collection on the go. It looks incredibly cool, and so simple a 5-year-old could use it. Yeah, bit nearer the mark. Yeah, okay. It's not the biggest pain in the world, but you know, if you like your music, hard for you to. You always walked around with your entire music collection in your pocket or in the cloud or something. But you know, for those of us handicapped with these things, this was a bit of a game changer. And you know, armed with that pitch, what does it do? Why does that matter? Entire music collection on the go. It's really cool that a 5-year-old can use it. My first question when I heard a pitch a bit like that about that was, how much or where can I buy it? You know, my only limiting factor as to whether I would buy it was how much it was going to cost. Yeah, because I was young and didn't have any money. But I got it. This is what it is. This is why it matters. And what do I want to do? You know, I've got the cash. I want one. Where do I go? You know, that was, so it elicits that decision response that drives the need to buy. Yeah. But that wouldn't have had me go to the end of the street, frankly, because it doesn't tell me why. So simply as an example, but hopefully that helps. Okay, our next little breakout. We're going to take another 5 and 10 minutes. So where have we got to? We've recognised the core driver that drives people's needs to buy, the necessity to buy, which is pain, or in some cases, you know, the need to reward themselves with something. We've identified that in order to get someone to relate to that, we've got to describe our business in those terms, the problem that we fix. So, okay, we've done that. Now what do we want? Well, we've got to try and now identify the people that will respond to that proposition, yeah, the potential customer. So the little exercise we're going to do now, let's assume you had, you know, someone in the room that was your potential customer. What would you want to know the answers to? What would you want? Sorry, I get the English right, Graham. What would you want them to tell you about those drivers, the things that make them tick, the thing that make them want to buy products? So try and think about this obviously generically rather than the specifics of your own individual business. But you know, if you had the chance to interview your poster boy girl customer, what sort of things would you want to know from them? Yeah, so we'll come back to go about 5 past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gives me a chance to fill my cold coffee. Everyone clear on the question? Yeah? Go for it.
Okay, guys, so we're gonna pick on someone. I think it'd be good to have a different facilitator this time. Stand right up and kind of lead the group in the discussion. So who would love an opportunity to do that just for 5 minutes?
I'll take it.
You'll take it? Well done. Okay. Okay. So you have to stand up.
Let's do this.
So you're leading us today.
All right. So how long do we have? 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have
Who's the
5 minutes.
timekeeper?
I'll put the clock on now.
Right, that's good. Thank you, Terry. Right, so the main question is, what is my customer's profile? And I guess the first sub question is, what would you want to know about your potential customer? And again, just like Graham said, we're not identifying, we're not talking about our own businesses. Let us talk about, if you go to Tesco to buy food or whatever, let's keep it in that part where it's not about what we're here to do, but it's about what problem we face day by day. So can somebody please start us off with that question? How would you like your possible or possible customer to be like? What are the questions that the question would you like you to know?
Is the budget?
Yeah. I
I'm
agree with
starting
that.
by you.
I agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Anybody else?
To solve what problem do they want to solve?
Yeah.
I think we need to make sure that the customer knows there is a problem or there is a pain. Because maybe some customers don't know that they are doing more effort or suffering or trade-off because they are not having a nice solution. So it's like to show them that they have their particular pain that they don't feel it maybe. So we need to make sure about the customer awareness.
Good. So education, customer awareness.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Anybody else? Budget? Yeah, budgets and much it costs, yeah. Yeah.
Something like specifications.
Nice.
Yeah. How do they want it? How do you want the service to be?
Mhm.
Also, we should know about to how much they are serious about their needs. For example, because some people sometimes are excited. They say, "I want to do this
Yeah,
thing,"
yeah.
and then you started. It's just
Yeah,
like
that
that
makes sense.
excitement. That's why they should be serious in their need and what they want.
I guess that joins up his points that if they're aware of what they need, then that's where the services will come from. At least that's what I think. Yeah. How long do we have? So we've got 2 minutes.
Habits.
Habits, yeah. Yeah. Think generically rather than specific about your day. Make notes of the conclusions. So what we're saying is when we are asking our customer or what ticks them, then we have to have almost like a tick list to make sure that we're not missing the point. Is that the conclusion?
It sounds like that. Getting the information from the customer in order to tell or to fine tune your product. To mix the
Customization.
Yeah, customization. I
Right.
think that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for customization, we need their collaboration. In some services, for example, like software development, we need that because, for example, before we were in the business, we asked some services, but as we needed it to call them, come and do something for us. But none of us, we didn't have time to correct it. That takes time, and at the end, the project failed. It's not our fault, just wasting money, time. I mean, the collaboration, especially in the services, is very important. That's why we should know the customer, or happy is do more collaboration to deliver a good service.
So you say that we need to value our customer opinion.
I think we want to deliver a customer, they are our customers, but again, I think we should tell them, it's a kind of always I tell to my customers, because I have two businesses, we are a team, I need your help. If you want high quality services, you should help me, I cannot do alone anything.
Right.
That's why I asked them, please help me, is it
You talking to your customers like that, you're not afraid that they might see you as an incompetent person. You're happy to be valuable to a customer.
Yeah, and I told you, it's a kind of collaboration. If you need a high quality service, you have to help me.
I need your input.
Yeah. I need your input, feedback, more information, and the team. Don't expect just me do something for you for services.
Okay, so I guess
It's very important. There are patients, have education, and not just one day excited and then.
Just to add, you talked about not appearing as incompetent.
yeah.
Customers' feedback is very important because, I mean, there is no product or service that can stand the test of time without getting feedback from the users. So it's good. Well, it could come in different forms. It must not always be direct getting feedback. It could come through data analytics running behind the scene, pulling up the user,
Experience.
experience, putting it out in forms of graphs and feeding it to the people behind the product or service. They would definitely know the experience, customers are facing. Coming from the telecommunications industry, where I spent a lot of years in, you get the feedback from the customers when they're making calls. You look at the graphs, you see the projections, you see from that you can know when customers are having a bad time, even without talking to them, right? So if they're having a bad experience, it's showing on the plots, on the graphs, it's showing on the analytics. So feedback is key. Makes a good product.
That's good to know. Thank you. We're around by.
No worries. So what have we got then?
So
What do we want to know about our customer now?
I
Their
give
profile.
somebody else to read intro.
I just have to read the question again.
So what does our customer profile look like? What would we like to know about our potential customer?
So we want to know the budget.
Sorry, project.
Yeah.
Budget, sorry.
Project. Yeah.
We're speaking French.
So what problem do they want to solve? The thing. So we want to make sure that the customers are aware that there is a problem, a pain point.
Yeah. Do they recognise the pain? Yeah.
The specifications, how do they want the service to be?
Yeah.
Customer habits.
What sort of habits are we after? Personal hygiene?
No, I think it's consumption.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. How do they spend their budget?
Yeah.
Buying habits.
Yeah.
Customization. That's almost not.
Customization. Those words there.
Yeah.
The value of the customer opinion. I went for a coffee break and then.
The value of the customer's opinion.
Yeah, the value of the customer opinion. If someone wants to elaborate.
Feedback.
Okay. So you want some feedback from them, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
And collaborate with customers clients.
Okay.
That was your point.
Yeah.
About making sure, that's kind of like feedback, but I guess having constant conversations with the customers, yeah.
Look, operations, what's going on?
Okay, online as well. I'm just trying to see what it is to get that. Yeah, so the first person was making sure that they sort of understand their own ability, which I think is their understanding their pain. Yeah, people focusing on knowing what price they're willing to pay. I guess,
That's kind of.
yeah. What they've already done to try and fix their problems.
Practice, we'll call it, yeah.
Yeah. If there's particular pinch points within the problem that the consumer thinks is a problem. Yeah, people say do focus groups, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, some good stuff there. Yeah, I describe a lot of those as several steps down the line, if you like. They're quite advanced questions, some of those. I'm going to start, I said this wasn't rocket science, I'm going to start off with some really, really basic stuff. So some of these are certainly will fold into this as we go forwards. But there's some good ones there. Glad that people were listening. So do they recognise the pain? Excellent. We've made some impact today. People are thinking about pain, so that's good. Yeah. Okay. What's the problem? Good. Okay. So we're going to start with some really, really basic stuff. Now, might think, well, that's bloody obvious, Graham. Come on. Yes, it is obvious. But again, most people, it's so obvious people don't even think about asking the question and what the answer might be. So with all of this, I was thinking this morning when I was out walking the dogs, this is simple stuff. We're not learning this, we're not teaching you this because we want to impart academic information. Yeah. If you simply take this, write it down, memorize it, maybe, and that's all you do, then your business, okay, you're intellectually maybe a bit better off, your business will not benefit one iota from any of this, yeah? This only becomes useful when you internalize it and when you use it in your business, yeah? And as I said earlier, this is skills for life, not just for your first startup business, yeah? So even when you work in a massive corporation, all we ever worried about was what our customers needed and why they needed it and what we could do to fill those holes. You can have the most advanced navigation tracking device on your wrist to go walking in Scotland. Yeah, you don't lace your boots up, you ain't getting very far because you keep falling out your boots. So this is all good stuff. There's nothing wrong with any of this, but there's a few basic bases that you have to cover off first. So let's do it. Who are they?
Yeah.
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 And so who's my target customer? Who is I'm solving a problem for somebody. For goodness sake, don't convince yourself that the answer is everybody. Yeah. Even Google, even Apple haven't sold to everybody. Yeah. So we have to be specific. And the smaller we are, the more specific, smaller in terms of our business, the more specific we have to be. We can't sell to the world yet. Yeah. So we have to pick our targets and they have to be really specific because we've only got so much resource to get around. So knowing who we're targeting, we've got this problem. So it's okay. The obvious question is, so who's got the problem? And then if the answer is, well, lots of people, then the subsequent question is, who's got it the most? So it's not everybody, but we have to know where we're targeting our efforts for this business. Question number one, really obvious. Most people don't ask it. Your best target is those that have got either in the most pain or with the most gain. Yeah. subdivide, subdivide, subdivide again, yeah? Taking Isabel Pearl's example, she's making a cosmetic, so that's 50% of the world wants her stuff, right? Okay, that's not it's actually academically accurate, no use to anybody, yeah? Who's she targeting? Putting words into her mouth. Women that have skin problems because of the additives that go into most cosmetics that you buy on the shelf. Okay, that narrows it down. It's making it easier to find, but now you know what your messaging and what your target is to promote that product and service. Yeah. If you have no idea, other than humanity, who's going to buy my stuff, then you really haven't identified your customer, not in a way that you can actually go and do something about. So in my business, we targeted large food manufacturers that used flexible packaging, i.e. wrappers and bags. Yeah, we weren't interested in Coca-Cola, say some tin cans. Our technology didn't code tin cans, so no use to them. Yeah, be really specific. Pick your industry, your subsector, your age group, the education level, the size of the business if you're targeting a business, where they are geographically. Yeah. And try to understand the order of magnitude, i.e. how big, how many there are in that sector. I've talked to quite a few businesses over the 2 or 3 years I've been working with the lab, and they are quite a lot of them in social enterprises targeting students. So you say, and they were like careers advisory type things. So the problem students have getting out of university and getting into a job. Okay, that's a pain. Clearly, it's driven by economic need. So there's a pain there. But then you ask them, so who's your target customer? Well, students, of course. No, wrong answer. Your target customer is final year students, people about to leave. And they might, because of the nature of the service, it says there's final year students in these categories. Now we've got a manageable target. We know where to find them, and we know starting to tailor the message that says, this is what we do and why it matters to you. Yeah. That's the sequence of it. So we have to do some work. We'll come on to some of the hows later. But that's the very first question. Okay, who is it more specifically than people out there? So when we know who they are, question is, where are they? Yeah, in universities, are they in Kazakhstan? Be really, really specific about location and quantity. Even if it's like students in the UK, if you're one person in an office, the UK is still pretty large, or size of New Hampshire. So, but it takes a long while to drive from one end to the other. So maybe we should be more specific and say, well, for me, until my business gets off the ground, it's students in the Midlands, which means Birmingham, Aston, Leicester, Derby, Nottingham. That's more bite-sized, manageable. Then you say, okay, how many students are there how many of my target live in those specific places? Now you're getting more specific, and you can do something with that, because you can say, here's my idea, here's why it matters, and I'm going to start by taking it to this identifiable, narrow enough group of people that I can actually get at them. Yeah. And as we scale, fine, our geographical boundaries expand. But if your whole idea revolves around servicing the needs of tribesmen in Somalia, don't mean that to be offensive. It's just the most remote place I can think of with people that are struggling enough to live. But how are you going to get there unless you happen to be from there? Why it's a stupid market to choose? Yeah, surely there's somewhere better if your idea is that good. So the questions to ask yourself is, if I took my very first shiny product out of its box and I wanted to take it to my first prospective customer, where are they? Yeah. And if the answer is too far away for me to be able to afford the airline ticket, then think again. Yeah. How will I reach them? Once you know where they are, how am I going to get to them? Now, here's something else I've heard through my 3 years at the lab. Please, please, please do not fall into the trap of saying my only way to market is I'm going to build a website or I'm going to have social media presence. I gather that's your business, but or TikTok, you know. Yes, that can work. We know that. But, you know, don't take these numbers for gospel truth because they may well not be. I just Googled them and got these answers. So it could be fake news, but I can believe it. There's 1 billion websites out there on the internet. There's only about 200 million of them that actually do anything, you know, there's an awful lot. I think there's 4 billion videos on YouTube. There are estimated 23 billion videos on TikTok. Tell me how your website is going to raise its little head above all that noise in the absence of anything else. Yeah. So the reason I say that is people's only thinking about how am I going to reach them is I'm going to build a website. Yeah, that's part of the package. Maybe is an appropriate thing to do, but if that's all you're relying on, you're going to have to be really, really lucky or have an absolute genius designing your website. You know, but that's a lazy answer. Yeah, more tangible stuff like we're going to go and camp out at the university that I'm targeting, you know, and meet people, you know, or other versions of that. But don't allow yourself to have the easy, lazy answer because that ain't gonna. It's your business. You know, this isn't not about getting marked in an essay. You know, your chances of success if your only option is to build a website and hope somebody goes there is going to be very slim. Yeah, Tony.
So Graham, these are excellent questions.
But
And I'm getting because my first thought was this is amazing. Like it's so good that we're stopping to actually think about this rather than go and not doing this bit. But then my next thought underneath it was if I have a strawberry ice cream cone or whatever it is that I'm selling,
yeah,
how do I then get the answer to these questions? So I'm so excited. I'm launching tomorrow strawberry ice cream cones. How do I know where my customer is located?
I'll turn the question around.
Yeah.
If you've got to the point of launching your strawberry ice cream without knowing the answer to those questions,
Yeah.
we failed. Because there'll be no one there, will there?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've got to get the answers before you launch your product. That's the whole point. We'll come on to some of that. It's all about you guys live in a different world, yeah. So you've grown up in the world of social media, social interactions that are not person to person. You know, when I started out, you only had two ways of having an interaction with somebody. You either talked at them or you spoke at them down the telephone. That was it. No other options. Maybe you wrote them a letter, you know. But so, to my really, really old-fashioned way, there is no substitute to getting in the face of people that might want to buy your stuff.
That's all.
So part of the learning experience of where my customers are, what they want and how they want to receive it is getting out there and talking to your target. So we know who they are, we know where they are. Now we're going to have to go out and gather this information from them and for other sources that might be out there where that population, you know, exists. But there's no substitute for that. I mean, there might be in the new world, and if you know it, that's fine. If you know tools to get this stuff done. But you've got to go, and once you know who they are and where they are, you've got to go and find out about them. And part of that's going to be talking to them. That okay for now?
That's excellent.
Yes. So the next question, I think that's on here now, which is, I think, was current practice. Yeah, what they're doing now. This is really important. So I'm out there, I'm trying to identify people that have got a specific problem that I think I've got a solution to. I know who I'm looking for, I know where they are. The next question is, so what are they doing today then? I can absolutely assure you they're not doing nothing. Yeah, they're living their lives, they're getting on with life. You know, my customers from my machine, they were using other stuff, they didn't like it, but they weren't just saying, well, that's it, I don't like that machine, I'm going to do nothing. They're living with it. They're living with the problem. Yeah. So, and they're getting around the problem somehow. This pain that they got. If people are motivated, they're clever. You know, I'm going to try and dodge the pain. I'm going to try and do it another way. Really interesting for you to find out what they're doing now, how they're getting around it. Because again, you might think this is the biggest pain ever known to humanity. They might be thinking, well, it's really simple. We just step to one side and dodge around it, and we do this. Oh, that's a bit of a problem. just completely vaporized my business. But this is about understanding what's going on within the lives of the people that we would like to sell to. Yeah, what they're doing now is understanding that, and really, when in a conversation, so where are you getting your ice cream from? Do they do strawberry? No, they don't do strawberry. Oh, okay, why do you really want strawberries? So it's about understanding from their perspective, remember, their little ecosystem that's different to our bubble, and understanding how they get their day done, and the problems that they encounter will come out of that, as well as their solutions. And that's their solution might be a real spanner in the works for our idea, but we need to know that. There's no point just sticking our head in the sand and hoping for the best. So the important questions are, when you're talking to them, what you're doing today, why does that still leave you in pain? However you would phrase that question. So you're doing this, does that fix the problem? Sort of, or no, not at all, or absolutely, are three possible answers that are highly relevant to you understanding your customer. And they might tell you, well, actually, we use this thing or this service. Oh, really? So what does that do? Does that solve the problem? Yeah, it does. No, it doesn't, sort of. Or it does, but it still leaves these problems. That's all information that goes into your sort of mincing machine that helps you formulate, does my idea fit with the needs of the people that I think need it? Yeah. And what they do today is a vital part of that. The other thing we'd like to know, so go ahead. Okay.
So if you find out that your best idea wasn't what you thought, do you still have room? Because when we go to the supermarket, for example, you go to the yogurt aisle, you have countless. They're all the same. Yeah, they're all the same, but for the sake of alternative, they're there. Are we allowed to be that alternative, or we have to solve a problem? Because the alternative, they're not really solving a problem, are they?
Agreed. Well, they're solving a problem. People are hungry and they like yogurt. And all they're doing is packaging that in different ways to make it attractive to people, organic, lacto-free, all those, they're the pains. I like yogurt, but, milk makes me really ill. Okay, we'll have a lacto-free one. That's solving a problem. Yeah. So.
But even within the lacto-free, you will have Yorville, Danone, all this. So I guess also it will go to people who want brand loyalty,
True. No, I'm not saying any of this, that you have to somehow stumble upon this answer to a solution that no one in the universe has ever thought of.
Okay.
No, that's not the point.
Okay.
So when we talk about competition, anyone that says I've got no competition, I'd have a problem with, because there's always competition. You may not just have noticed it yet. But this is not about proving that your idea is unique. It's about everything. No one owns 100% of any market. Apple don't own 100% of the smartphone market for all their might and wealth. So it's about, okay, now I know what's out there and what the options are. Does my idea fit in with that, and does it have a competitive advantage? Not to take over the world, but to carve its niche. That's the questions where we're leading to with all of this. So it's not about uniqueness. It's about, yes, the problem really, really exists, and there are issues with the existing solutions which don't solve the whole problem. That's my niche. Go solve those problems. So now we kind of know who they are and where they are and what they're doing. We've, for the purposes of this exercise, ascertained that the pain is still hurting them somehow. Now's a really good time to find out how much it costs them. So how much is this hurting? The answer can be, it could be, it's wasting 4 hours of my day every day. That's what. And why is that important? Well, because if I had those 4 hours free, I'd be doing this, but I can't do this because I have to spend 4 hours doing this. Okay, that's a pain. And how much does your time cost you? In physical pounds and pence. it could be, you know, how much does that lousy machine that keeps breaking cost you? You know, say, well, you know, we spend 10 grand a year on spares. Yeah, how much downtime does it cost you? Well, about an hour a day. Okay, and what does an hour of production cost you in this factory? 15 grand, 20 grand. Okay, so that's 20 grand a day. That's 600 grand a year. Get it for my service then, huh? So, yeah, time, money, environmental impact. Okay, what does that cost you? You know, most companies don't care much about the fact they're filling up the world with plastic and pollution. Yeah, but if they do, then it could be, well, actually, you know, we have targets and my bonuses are fixed to those targets. I'm targeted with reducing plastic, and I need a solution to the problem. Otherwise, I don't get my bonus. You know, that's the cost of the pain. Yeah, and this is really important because how much the pain is costing them is an indicator of how much they'll pay to take it away. Yeah.
What if it needs to be measured? Shall I ask the customer to measure it? So I'm working on development of grippers for food manipulation.
Yeah.
No.
We've spoken before. Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing that I don't know, yeah, there are like soft grippers and pneumatic grippers and suction cups. They're doing the job, but you're not doing the best thing. So
yeah,
I need to measure the pain of the customer.
Yeah.
So can I ask the customer to go into their facility and measure it myself?
Absolutely. They might say no, but there's no reason why you can't ask.
Yeah.
So this goes back to, I think somebody made the point of collaboration. This is one of the tools for understanding our customer.
Yeah.
So on the assumption there is a problem and you've identified the customer that has that problem, then they have pain. And on the assumption that there's no decent solution out there, that what they've got is non-ideal, then there is the basis for collaboration, which says, I've got this idea, it might be interesting to you. I think we could do it like this. Would you be willing to work with me to ascertain the effectiveness of this solution in reducing the costs of what you're currently suffering today, or some such pitch like that, which says it's in your interest to help yourself, to help me to identify if this is a good fit. Yeah. Now they may not tell you the actual numbers. I mean, for my industry, you know, customers would be very cagey about saying, well, our downtime costs us, you know, 50 grand an hour.
Yeah.
So you might not get the actual numbers, but, you know, if having a relationship with your potential customers is much more difficult when you're actually trying to sell them something. But when you're at the pre-business stage of saying, I just need some help to understand whether this idea is even a good one, you know, this is what I'm thinking about. I want to try and understand if this is going to save you enough money. Would you work with me to try and work that out? Then whether they'll tell you officially in a written email how much their downtime is, or whether over a coffee in the canteen, you'll say, do you know what, you know, that thing out there costs us 50 grand an hour. You go, really? I'll quietly write that down. So you can get that information. And then the other thing you can do, once you've had a few snippets of numbers from customers, you can start to put together your own case. And you can say, look, you know, I don't know what your downtime costs, but other companies that I've worked with have suggested, you know, that £10,000 an hour is an okay number. Now they might be sat there thinking about it in mind, it's 50 grand, you know, but that's okay, yeah, let's go with the 10 grand. And then you say, okay, so if we could save 15 minutes a day, you know, so that's what, £2,500 a day with this technology. And if you, how many days a week do you run? Well, 5 days a week. Okay, so, you know, so what 15 grand a week? And then you say, how many weeks, you know, you've never done the maths, so you're not as bad at it as me. Oh, so that's about 150 grand a year then. Then they might just say, could be, but, you know, they've not said that's ridiculous. So you do those things, but this is the value before you've built your stuff of having these interactions with potential customers. They're not customers yet, but you're understanding their world, you're understanding their parameters. Yeah. And that's what we need to do, because when you know how much it's hurting, then you can say, well, how much, if I can really fix this, if my idea really, really works to everyone's satisfaction, it's going to save you 150 grand a year. What's the price be? Now that's another question. But you're not going, it's a robot grip. I feel awkward about charging £2,000 for that. You know, you're thinking, no, the price here is 150 grand a year. So now my service can be priced in accordance with the value it's going to deliver that business. And you've got the proof. Yeah. Now, of course, on the other hand, you might come up with a terrible financial argument that says, you know, my thing costs X and I'm going to save this guy 5 pence a day. In which case you're thinking, you know, was it such a great idea after all? But you absolutely, you can work with your customers. The other thing, yeah, this last point is important. If I were to have this person as a customer, are they going to use my stuff every day of the week, all year, for the rest of time? Or is it they're going to use it once for 5 minutes and then they're gone? Now, again, I've looked at businesses and talked about businesses with students here, particularly those targeted at students, you know, final year, you know, graduates looking for jobs. And they've got this business model that says, well, if I can sign up 1,000 people and they're going to pay me £20 a month forever, and I think, hold on a minute, you know, how long are people final year students? Yeah, not very long. And how long before they're gone? Not very long. Okay, so your wonderful business model that does this actually doesn't hold water, does it? Because you've got this person for maximum of 3 months and then they're gone. And now you've got to find a whole new set. And you can only do that once a year because that's when people start looking for jobs. So now your financial model is looking a bit suspect. But again, understanding their consumption practices, the way their lives work, and whether they would want your service or product for 2 minutes or for 20 years is key to understanding whether your idea is viable. You know, I would say, you know, so you're going to charge somebody 25 quid a week for a recruitment service, given their students and they've got no money. 25 quid a week's a big ask, and they're going to use it for like 3 weeks and they're gone. That's not a business. Or if it is, you need to think of a better way of doing it, because that, you know, isn't going to make anyone get very enthusiastic about that business. But it's an important thing, and it all comes from the habits, the pain. Is it a one-off, fix it, it's gone forever, or do they need to consume this thing all the time? Are important things you need to know about your customer. I think we've said this. Price is derived from value. So if you know the cost of the pain, that is the value. And, you know, if you're in any doubt, put yourself in their shoes. If I was in them doing what they do with those numbers, would I buy it for that much? You know, and if the answer is, you're not too sure, you know, think again. Yeah. But yeah, whenever I had customers that were not behaving as I would like them, I always used to, after I got over the frustration of being annoyed about it, I'd sit in a dark room and think, you know, if I were them, would I? And if the answer was no, I wouldn't, then I think, Graham, you need to go back to the drawing board and start again. So this self-reflection is important. Yeah.
If I'm developing like things that is having intellectual property and it's still not, there's not a functioning prototype yet, so I don't know any clue about the pricing.
Yeah.
So how to sell this product to a customer, even if I don't know, if I don't have any clue about the pricing.
I would say you're not at the stage of selling that to the customer anything at that point.
Yeah.
You're gathering information.
Yeah, I need to engage the customer, so.
So I have this idea. I can't tell you the details because that's subject to intellectual property. You know, we may want to put an NDA in place to protect me before I have the chance to file patents. But I'm going to tell you that thing that you're using has these problems. Do you agree or don't you? Yes, it does. It does. I've got an idea that works a bit like this, but I can't give you the full details. But I need some help to work out if the costs of bringing that to market are going to bring a reliable return to you. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the kind of conversation you've got to have to keep it really a bit vague, but give them enough to work with to get the information you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next important thing we want to know about the customer, which is related to what they're doing now, is who is my competition? In other words, who are they potentially buying their solution from now, or who might they buy it from? So,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Question
Sure.
for this step. Because it's a bit specific, is it okay, can I ask?
yeah, go ahead.
Because for me, for example, for website developer, we should convince potential customers that you need a website. That's why others can know you, can trust you, can familiar with your products and services much better. Okay.
Mhm.
But for some small business, for example, I don't know how can I spell plumber. Those people fix pipe.
Plumber.
Plumber, yeah. For example, one of the niche markets for me, these kind of very
Great.
small.
Tradespeople, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, these days they are usually used, for example, WhatsApp. My question is, how can I convince them? Okay, website is better for you, because yes, they ask me, so what?
Yeah.
I said many things. So what? Already I have my customer. Already I have this. You know how we can change their habits from the smaller. And to be honest, if I were them, I didn't accept because okay, what's up? Because I'm 1%. I cannot do many things for all UK. You know. But
So I would suggest that that approach is starting from the wrong place. You're saying, here's my stuff, here's my product, here's why you need it.
yeah.
Yeah. Remember, the reason people buy is because they have a problem.
But they don't have.
And you're not going to make a sale. So, turn it around.
At least they have, you know.
Turn it around. Turn it around. Question is, do you have a problem attracting customers to your business, finding new business? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, most of the plumbers I talk to is no, mate, I'm stacked out till February, you know, so maybe plumbers aren't the place to start. But the actual question is, do you struggle to find and retain enough customers for you to either keep your business going or to grow the business like you wanted to? Yeah. And if the answer is, yeah, no problem, you know, interesting. So what are you doing then? So that's, you know, most people lie, unfortunately. Yeah. So that, yeah, no problem is I'm not ready to tell you I've got a problem yet. I'm going to try and push you away. Really? Okay, that's interesting. Most people don't say that. How are you getting all your customers then? Would you mind me asking? Now, they might just continue saying the same thing, in which case, fine, move on, find somebody else to talk to. Not everybody is your customer, remember. But you might get someone who's saying, yeah, I'm a one-man band, one lady band plumber. I want to build a business. I want to have a team of 6 plumbers. And for that, I need more customers. Great. So how are you going about finding those customers? Well, I'm using this. Is it working? Not really, no. Okay, why is it not working? Well, this, that, or the other. Have you thought about a website? Yeah, everyone's got a website, haven't they? But yeah, and then you start to build. But the first step is, here's my problem that's related to the attraction of customers. It could be I have a website and it's crap. They say, yeah, I've got a website. How many visitors do you get? No idea. When did you get a last sale from your website? No idea, or none, you know. That's now potentially with your skills, you have the solution to their problem. But going in and saying, I'm a secretary of a local tennis club, my inbox is full of people trying to sell me fixes to a website that I don't care about. Yeah, let us SEO and fix your website, drive customers. I don't need customers. I'm a tennis club. You know, they haven't asked what my problem is. I don't have a problem. I'm not a customer for someone fixing my website because I don't care about it. It's got a phone number on it. That's all I need. You know, so the key is, have they got a problem? And it might be, yes, they have, you know, not everyone you talk to is going to have the problem. That doesn't mean there's no market for it. But it's that subdivision. You know, the one-man band plumber who's got more work than he knows what to do with, doesn't need a website, probably. Yeah, the ambitious person who's saying, I want to build a business and I want to become like that guy in London who sold up for how many hundreds of million and shipped out to Dubai, Charlie, whatever his name is. You know, I want to be like him. Okay, how are you going to get it? Now you're starting with someone who's got a problem. But just going with the solution and saying, I'm telling you, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that help at all?
Yeah.
I think her business case can be analogous to Uber. So people have been used to taxi companies. They just call taxi company and schedule pickup location, pickup time. Now Uber is more convenient. It's on smartphone. So there was no pain, but there's more convenience for now, maybe. So you can sell it like this. So if you think about being.
But there's still, you still, the person you're speaking to still has to have a problem with what they've got now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key to unlocking this, yeah.
So
And it-
I just want to make a point.
Yeah,
It was not paid for Uber.
Yeah.
I think so.
you should try getting a taxi before Uber turned up. I didn't understand.
Well, there was a lot of pain. The thing
Yeah.
is,
Where's the problem? It's 11 o'clock at night. I've just rolled out the pub. It's pouring with rain. I'm in the middle of Nottingham and I need a taxi to get back to Saddle.
Yeah.
It ain't happening, right? So, I can stand there like we used to in the old days in a big long line getting soaking wet. Or alternatively, I can sit on a nice dry place and go call an Uber. That was the pain. That you might be probably all too young to remember that.
part of that story,
Yeah,
cover the pain.
yeah,
They thought into it and saw the pain.
exactly.
It was a first-hand experience.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
But he's trying to say that there were other taxi companies available.
Well, they were, but how do you find them?
Yeah,
Reliable.
which is better.
And how do you get them? Yeah. Let's talk about competition because this is kind of related. If I had £1,000 for every salesman I've employed that told me there's no competition, I'd be wealthier than I am today. The answer is never nobody. It might be now that bubble. We're up here floating around having a great time in the sun. Trust me, there's somebody out there who either wants you for lunch or is going to take your lunch. Yeah.
Jeez.
So they might not be who you think they are. But you start to get this information from what they're doing today. Yeah. And the problems that they're being solving. So if they're getting customers today, are they getting them from TikTok? Are they getting them from YouTube? Somebody's out there that's potentially going to take your lunch. I would just say, if it really is nobody, then unless you've discovered alchemy, maybe there is no pain or demand for what you do. Yeah, because we're a capitalist species. We're out there. People are trying to earn their lunch and to fund their family's expenditure. And if people will find a way to fix pain, they're out there somewhere. So the question is, obviously, if you can get to talk to a customer, finding out what they use today, where they're getting it from is part of the answer. Your competition could be businesses doing an idea very similar to yours. Your estimation of what they do could be, they're doing it and they do it badly. And my edge is I'm going to do it better because for these reasons. Yeah, okay, that's valid. Yeah, but there's somebody out there that you're going to have to displace because they're doing what you're planning to do. Whatever they're doing today, whoever's providing that is your competition. Now, they might be using chalkboards and chalk and you want to use the internet, there's still a competition because what you are going to be asking your customers to do is to do things your way and not the way they're doing it. That makes them a competitor. They might be as archaic and as rubbish in your estimation, but they have a relationship with that customer. And therefore they're a competition because if that customer to change, they're going to have to dump that supplier and move to you. That's a barrier to success. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not a home run. Beware of the competitor that you didn't know they have to be doing what you do. Yeah, some very troublesome competitors are those that have the customer relationship. They're selling a related service, but it's not solving the need that you think you can solve. But they're in a dialogue. They're having those conversations with those customers. They're exchanging money and services. Yeah. If they see what you do and think, we could just tack that on the side of our offering, they're now a serious competitor because they have the relationship, assuming they're not picking the customer off, that the customer's happy dealing with them, they're going to be in pole position to mop that business up. So think, is there anybody like that out there that with just a little tweak to what they do could just do what I do and wipe me out? Yeah, they're the guys to watch out for. And the biggest one of all, the option your customer has to do nothing. Yeah, I didn't lose many orders, he says. But I had an awful lot of potential customers that never bought anything from anybody. You know, if you're going to turn up with something that demands somebody to do something different to what they're doing today, there's a natural human barrier to change. There's a risk. Yeah, I'm going to spend X hundreds, tens, whatever the number is, thousands of pounds of my money or my business's money in your service. Yeah, that's going to make me lie awake at night because it's significant enough, or it poses an operational risk if it all goes wrong. That's more likely. Now, the stuff I sold, you could talk to your blue in the face about the money you were going to save them. If they thought they'd got fired for buying your kit on the first day it broke, you know, no one got fired for buying a Hoover or an IBM, wasn't the best product. But it meant my job was safe. I bought one of those, Gov. You know, everyone uses those. Yeah. Versus I bought this new thing and it's not quite working out as we thought immediately, you're fired, you know. So the customer always has the potential customer always has the option to do nothing. And that's, in my experience, was the biggest competitor I ever had. Maybe yours, you know.
No, everyone's patiently listening.
Or sleep.
I can see some of them, so. Well, I can see in a way.
Option we don't have.
Yeah, that's the nothing option. Yeah.
You know, you talked about how there might be a business out there offering a service that can tag along with yours. So, I mean, I might be jumping the gun here. When you trying to do your market research, so you should be including those outliers. Is that what it is?
You need to consider them, I think, in two aspects.
Okay.
There's a potential competitor that can do me damage,
Right.
or a potential partner that I could work with that I trust enough that's not going to screw me over and actually get me to market quicker.
Right. So you can pick it
But the first step is, are they out there and who are they?
Right.
Yeah. So if you don't know who they are or where they are, it's a bit like the customer. You can't think about, are they friend or foe? Yeah. You have to, I said this was basic stuff. You know, you're answering basic questions. Open our minds. Who are the competition? Who might they be? And then if you want to ask yourself, a perfectly good question to ask, are they friend or foe? Really good question to ask. But the first question is recognizing they're out there. Putting the mask on and looking under the water.
Such a scary photo.
Sorry. I've uncovered some, I've triggered some people with the shark, obviously. You must have remembered yours, surely. Yeah.
Scary.
We had all. Yeah. Number one was the scariest. Okay, so that's the end of the kind of questions about the customer. There's many more, yeah, but we're starting from ground zero. They are the most important ones, and you know, a lot of this is related to those, you know, things that you came up with are related to those, but they're really, I said this will be fundamental truths, yeah, they're really fundamental questions that you need before you take your business to the next step to have thought about and written down your answers, you know, because it's and why you think that's the skill that we're encouraging you to take, is to really think about it, come to your conclusions, write it down, and then continually test it as you go about your day-to-day business. Because you will find things, meet people who make you think, oh, did I get that wrong? And then you need to make your mind up. But this is the process that you continually go through. Yeah. Why does it matter? Those of you that have been to my talks before would have seen these numbers because I love them. Well, I don't love them. They just scare me. But I'm more scared of these than I am of the shark, to be honest with you. So 20% of all UK startup businesses fail inside 12 months. 60% fail within 3 years. Yeah. Only 23 ever go somewhere. So whatever's left, they're just sat in limbo, really achieving nothing. And these statistics are not the fault of COVID, they're not the fault of Putin. It's been like this forever. Yeah. Why? Well, the market research people to say 35% of all those businesses that fail because there is no market for their product or service. There is no demand. Or if there is, they've completely failed to find it. Further 20% fail because they underestimated the competition and didn't know who they were. And another 19% fail because of a flawed business model. In other words, maybe the customer wasn't prepared to pay what they thought they ought to pay because they hadn't asked them. So what do we conclude from all of that? Most businesses fail because the entrepreneur either never bothered to ask themselves the questions we've been talking about today, or they did a really bad job of answering and validating those questions. Yeah, but I think the data stuff with you said the data says startups fail because they get this stuff wrong, or more likely they never bother doing it. Yeah. So, because I would argue if you try, and you're going to be better off than if you didn't. Yeah. So that's why this is important. You've got to understand why your customer is motivated, what the problem is, why they're motivated to fix it, and how much it's worth them. If you do that with any kind of remote accuracy, you won't be another statistic. Yeah. And that's why I said at the beginning, if you do this, and the conclusion is, I'm not really sure about that, then that's a good outcome, because it means you're not going to become a statistic, because you will pause and you will think, maybe I've got this wrong, or maybe my idea isn't as good as I thought it was, or maybe I'm targeting it at the wrong people. Yeah. But when I said right at the outset, this module's first for a reason, that's why it's first. Yeah. No point building websites, building products, employing people, and then to then find out nobody wants strawberry ice cream. Yeah. Or you don't know where they are. Yeah. So that's why this is important. Yes.
I guess we've always, the module is market research.
Yeah.
I personally tried to do it, but I couldn't find viable website that could help me with that.
Yeah.
I was left with the option of paying somebody to do that.
Yeah.
For a startup business where I don't have that type of money,
No.
What's your recommendation?
Okay, we're now coming to the how.
Okay.
So I would absolutely say to start with, do it yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't know the answers and you haven't learned the answers yet, and maybe haven't learned all the questions, how are you going to instruct somebody else to? So go and fail and get better yourself before you pay somebody else. So at least if you've been and failed, you know what to instruct someone to do. If you can find somebody that's, and you probably can't. The answer is you're doing it yourself. But there are some ways of going about it. So just to recap, this will be your homework. Don't bother writing it down, because you're going to get a document that says how. These are the questions that we've been talking about. So the first one is you've got to create that statement. This is what I do, and this is why it matters. Then who is my target customer? Where are they? Why do they need it? What are they doing today? What's wrong with that? What is the problem costing them? What will they pay for my solution and why? How long will they need it for? Who is my competition and how big might it be? I'm just going to go and target students in Birmingham to start with, but actually the market is initially all universities in the UK. Okay, how do I get from Birmingham to the rest of the UK? What does the future look like? That's less important than the first ones. So the homework is go away and think about those questions, research, come up with your answers, and then I suggested tick it. I'm not happy with an answer. And again, it's okay if you're not. Just put a little cross there. It says, I've got a blind spot, potentially. Yeah, blind spots are fine, so long as you know you've got one. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, turning right, not looking. If you know there's a blind spot, you can look over your shoulder and check there's no motorbike there. Yeah? You don't know you've got a blind spot, you just turn right and then that's just what happens. So it's okay. And what you're doing then is you go through your business day, you're thinking, okay, it's that little blind spot that keeps me awake at night. Can I ask somebody about that? Is there somebody here that I've met that might be able to help shine some light into that blind spot? But knowing you've got a blind spot, knowing your answer's not good enough is okay. Right. How do you get your answers? Sure.
Are these questions valid also for social enterprises Like in the sense, I make an example, like for example, I come from Italy.
Yeah.
And there is this chain of restaurants that employ autism boys and girls and people in general. So they are like, the service they are offering is a restaurant, but with the addition that they have this social like goal. Is it the same? Like should I, if I have in mind like a social enterprise, should I answer the same question? Should I wonder the same questions, or there's more, or?
There might be other questions. I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I come from an industrial background, so these questions are second nature to me, which is why I was lazy enough to write them up. I've never tried to start a social enterprise business. I would argue, yeah, that you might need to tweak the question a little, but most of these fundamental questions would still apply, I think. You know, so yeah, who is my target for this type of business or this type of enterprise? Why do they need what I'm thinking about? You know, what is it about them that makes what I'm doing important? Why does it matter to them? Yeah, where are they? Okay, how do I get to them? How do I educate them that I've got this service? You know, how social enterprise pays for itself is key. Some money, you know, all businesses consume cash. That's the one thing they all have in common. So where's my cash going to come from? Which means I'm solving a problem. I don't know the specifics of what you're thinking about, but I think, you know, you can ask these questions and okay, that they're very sort of product service orientated, but I think many of them will be relevant. You know, who's my competitor? Who else is pitching for the same market? You know, because they're my competitor or my ally. You know, I don't know yet which, but I need to know if they're out there and where they are, what they look like. So I think they're relevant, and you might need to think, okay, that's not, but I see where the questions are coming from, and therefore let's tweak the question a bit. So yeah, you don't have to answer these exactly, but think again. This is not an academic exercise to get a mark in a test. Yeah, this is about thinking about your business and how these questions can help you understand your customer, potential customer, better. And if you have a different question that you think is highly relevant, that's great. Stick it on your list, because the answer to these questions is your resource, not mine, not your mentor's. Yeah, it's for you, your business. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to encourage. For time. Does anyone want to take a break for 5 minutes? Get out of this stinking hot room, because I'm getting quite uneasy out there in the cold.
Anybody?
4 minutes. Anyone want to take a break? Comfort break, get a drink?
Yeah.
5 minutes, yeah, back in
Great.
5 minutes, around about 5 past or just after.
Excellent job so far, Greg. Thank you.
There's 4 flights to go, so we're nearly there.
Website lady.
Yeah, her food, that's true.
Okay, so now I said at the start, this is not about asking difficult questions. They're not hard to understand. The hard bit is is actually resolving to do it. Hopefully you know why it matters. I can't convince you that as a result of that, you should do it. All I can say is 30 or 40 years in business says if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So the question is, so how do we go about this? As I said, simple questions, it's not easy. Yeah. That's why most people don't bother, because actually, when you hold their hand to the fire and say, think about this, they don't want to because it's hard. Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't got, just do this and it'll all be fine list. I'm going to give you some ideas of where I've got my information from. Yeah. So I was not dissimilar. I was sat in an office in Nottingham with ideas for machinery that would fit on production lines in food factories. Yeah. So where am I going to get my information from? I can't just walk up to people on the street and ask them. I've got to find other ways. Yeah. So these are some of the ways that I've done it. But it's, I think we made this point earlier. The first thing you've got to do is climb out of your own echo chamber. Yeah. Because what you think the world, is a huge problem, as we said earlier, may not be. And the way you would react to it may not be the way your potential customers react to that problem. So we've got to seek external validation by whatever means we can. Yeah, and that's where you can get inventive and think of your own ways to get other people to give you a view on your market opportunity. Yeah, your demand that you think is there. So where can we go? So most people go here, families and friends.
Yeah.
Not a bad place to start, but I wouldn't put my house on it. Particularly if they're British. British don't like to upset people. So unless your family specialises in tough love, the chances are mum and dad are going to say, you know what, Graham, that's a brilliant idea. I wish you good luck. You know, when they're actually thinking, geez, that's the really worst thing I've ever heard. So families and friends will not give you an honest, objective answer. Some might, you know, but you're on dangerous ground is my point.
Well, sometimes, yes.
Start-
If they did that answer.
Yeah, start there, but you know, don't start there maybe, but don't stop there, yeah? Because there might not be entirely in social media bubble. I don't know what one of those is because I'm not in one, but you know, social media by the algorithms attract like-minded people. Yeah, that might be helpful, you know, because people with similar interests to yours, if your business idea is related to your interests, then actually, yeah, that is potentially a good bubble to sound out your idea from. But it will be populated probably with people who think similarly to you. So again, approach like family and friends, approach with caution. Yeah, the view might be biased depending on what your bubble is and where you go in social media. External data from the marketplace, much better. If we can find some of that, that's more objective, more better resource that someone's not telling you on social media because they've seen it on TikTok yesterday and therefore now that's their life view. You can tell I was skeptic about social media, can't you? So that's better. And actually going and interacting with people you think might be your potential customers is absolutely the best thing to go and do. Yeah. So that's who. Next question. Well, I think we're going to do this breakout. I think I'll let you go earlier, so we haven't got to suffer too much more time in here. I was going to ask you to think about how you might find these answers, but I think we'll just cut to the chase, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. Internet.
Brilliant, Graham. Well done.
Are we talking about ChatGPT or?
No, well, I have no experience of that. It might be helpful. I'm not a complete Luddite. I do understand technology, but I've never used ChatGPT for this purpose. Yeah. So one of the points, the internet is a good place to look. So I just used to use Google, you know. So for example, who are my competitors? So don't, you know, think about the searches around your idea. So have a think about what a potential competitor looks like, and then start Googling, see who comes up. Have a look at their website, see what they do. Am I right? Are they, you know, strike them off the list or put them on the list? Yeah, that's interesting. That's people that operate in that space. If you've got a potential customer in mind, like a business, you say, I think Nestle should be interested in this. Great, go to Nestle's website and find out about them, find out where they are. You know, remember some of the questions, where are they? How many are they? How many factories has Nestle got in the world? You know, where are they? Now there's one down the road. Great, that's my first target, you know. So yeah, I know the internet sounds like a growth, you know. This is a really obvious answer. But if you get inventive about your searching and bearing in mind the questions that we're trying to answer, you know, stuff will come up and it will lead you down the rabbit hole where you can start to sort of spread out your search and investigate it. Yeah.
Yeah, adding to the internet part and ChatGPT, I've been using Statista for getting statistics.
Sorry, what's the name of the website?
Statista.
How do we spell that? Sorry. That's the only.
See how a paid subscription because
Yeah.
it's always
Not
limited.
brilliant.
It's not free.
Academic.
I'm using the university email and it's free when you can access most of the statistics when you are using the university network here.
Sorry.
Like things out.
And they added a new feature, it's LLM model. So you can have like responses similar to ChatGPT, but related to statistics. And it's doing great with getting this, it's better than ChatGPT when you're getting great.
Thank you.
Really good suggestion, yeah. So back in my day, back in the last millennia, this is similar. So what I was able to find was in certain industries, other people pay market research agencies lots of money to go and find out stuff. It gets published. Quite often it used to get published in the old days, it used to get published with a big price tag on it. But once it's a bit out of date, it then becomes public domain. So you might be looking at data that's maybe 5 years old, but depending upon what we're doing, that may not be, I mean, things might change in 5 years, but it's a starting point, yeah? So I could find, you know, how many of certain machines that we were looking to display. I found reports that said why somebody thought how many tens of thousands of those there were in the world and how many tens of thousands were sold every year. That's really useful information. So depending on what our area of interest is, look out for reports. That sounds like an excellent resource, which answers some of these big questions. You might think, how the hell am I supposed to know, you know, how many of so-and-so there are in the world? You know, that information is probably out there. And again, it's to say, okay, you know, great. Even if it's a data point is something, am I talking 500, 500,000, 500 million? You know, what's the scope of the thing that I'm trying to find the answer to? You're going to have to be accurate to the, you know, the nearest decimal point. That's not the point of this. It's, you know, are there 10 people out there in the world, or are there 10 million that we're interested in? Yeah.
In terms of looking where they are, so for example, the idea is coming to my head in, you know, so if we talk about the Midland or Nottinghamshire or Derbyshire, you want to look at families, or your product is targeting families.
Yeah.
Are you able to access the
Yes.
census?
Yes, you can access the census. My wife's a vet. At one stage, about 10 years ago, we thought of setting her up in our own practice. And so I was being, you know, Mr. Market Research. I thought, don't worry, I'll take care of this. So I thought, you know, what's important is, you know, how many families live in this area? How many houses are there? How many households? So I went, I can't tell you the website, but if you just Google it, you can get the census data and you can find out, you know, how many families there are in a geographic region. You can find out, you know, whether they're rich people, poor people, you know, and everything in between. Anything that's on the census is out there.
Okay.
I just wanted to add, like, if you want the census data, there's the Business and IP Center in the Nottingham Library. So if you just go in there, you can use their PCs and it's connected with all the others.
So business and more IT or IP?
Intellectual property.
Yeah, data, where is
In
it?
the library itself.
Which one?
Nottingham Library.
No,
Not in the university.
library.
Oh, Broadmarsh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what I mean. This stuff's out there. And that's, yeah,
Is it all free?
matter of fact, it was on my list. So you've got the census data, population, demographics, it's out there. You can go and access it. So if you need to go and target households, that's a brilliant place. It will tell you by electoral ward area, you know, who's there. So that's it. That's important. What have we got? Competitor information. So if you think you've identified a competitor, go find out everything you can about them. Go to their websites. Go to everything they publish out. If they're any kind of size, they'll be publishing stuff all over the internet. Go read it. Find out what they're up to. Yeah. Company's House, free service. You can download in the UK. You can download any company's accounts. Look for all the dirt. Look for who's running it. Look for how much money they're making or losing. It's free. Just go to the government website, Company's House website.
Sorry, who populates the information on companies?
Well, Company's House, if you run a company, by law, you have to file information every year. It says who your directors are, you have to file accounts. So it's the law, it's run by the government, but to be legal, you have to file that information and it has to be accurate, or they send you to prison.
And if you have a company and you're not trading with it.
Yeah, so if it's dormant, it'll say it's dormant. And if you look at the P&L, you'll see that it's not doing anything, even if they're, you know, existing.
Is this only for companies registered in the UK or any company registered?
So Company's House is only for UK businesses. there is the means, it gets more complicated in other countries. Some make it, I mean, in the US, I think the freedom of information is there. You can find out anything about anybody. Other countries like Germany, it's a bit more difficult. But, you know, if you really need to know about the German competitor, you know, go and ask an accountant, how do I keep a set of German accounts? And obviously you might then need to learn how to read profit and loss account. Don't worry about the balance sheet. The balance sheet is impenetrable to most people. Just the profit and loss, you know, will tell you what's the turnover, what's the profit. You're thinking, well, I've got a competitor here. I know what they do because I've read their website. So I know I've got an idea of how much the bit I'm interested in might be from everything that they say they do. And here's how much money they're making. That's interesting. And that's just one competitor. It's just a way of scaling whether your problem you think you're solving is worth solving, you know. These are all data points. You know, there isn't like one answer we're trying to get to. It's like, what's the picture? Does this look like a nice fertile field to go and have some fun in, or does it look like a desert where if I survive, I'm going to be lucky? You know, that's the feel we're looking to get. Trade exhibitions, a bit of a dying art, but there's still loads of them out there. So every industry, every area of interest, they have conferences, so academic conferences. You know, if that's your target market, or they're talking about something that's your target market, go to one or get the proceedings of one, see what it says. The benefit of going to the exhibition is, you know, you can talk to people as well. But trade exhibitions, you know, if my interest is food, manufacturing, you know, there's 2 exhibitions every year in the UK in Birmingham I can go to meet all the suppliers that service that industry. It's lab technology of any sort. There'll be exhibitions about that, and there will be in every other country of the world. Yeah. So trade exhibitions are a great place to go to learn stuff. You can walk onto anybody's stand and talk to them. We'll talk to how to talk to them in a bit. Did that earlier. Think about it. There we go. But that's where you can meet people who operate in what you think is your target market. Yeah. And you can ask some questions.
But is that mainly for B2B companies?
Yes, but also there's lots of exhibitions that are targeted at consumers. So, you know, I don't know what, I don't attend those, you know, but there's the new mothers exhibition, you know, everything to do with maternity. You know, they'll be, but just look at what's going on in Birmingham, the NEC, you know, we'll give you a good picture. There's exhibitions every single week about something or other, motorbikes, cars, you know, electronics, gadgets, they're all there. So,
but doesn't it cost a lot to actually get a stall at one of these?
Yeah, but you don't have, you're not the one buying the stall, you're a visitor, you're a punter walking the aisles. And even after 30 years in the industry, it got a bit boring because I didn't actually know what I was going to see. But at every exhibition I went to in the world, I just walked up and down the aisles every single blinking time. And it got pretty boring. But every now and then you stop and you go, wow, what's that? I've not seen that before. And you go, walk on the stand and ask them some questions, see what they'll tell you. That's how you learn. Yeah, that's how you get out of your bubble and into the big wide world out there where your business might have to sort of function and thrive. But do all this before you get into business, yeah? Go to the ice cream exhibition. Look for strawberries. Look for strawberries. And find, why have you got any strawberries on your snap? Yeah, they're only coming to season once a year, so we can't get them. So that's not a flavour we can put. I don't know. On a similar way, trade associations. So every industry has a trade body that represents the manufacturers or suppliers in that industry, pretty much. So their job is to represent the interests of their members clearly and to publicise what they do. So guess what? It's on the internet. So you know, find out what they're doing, find out what they're saying. There'll be people paid there to talk about trends in the market, trends in consumption. All useful information that you can put into your matrix. If you can, get to go and talk to people. You know, so there'll be market information there, there'll be information about customers, competitors potentially, and there might be some contacts, so-called industry experts that are paid money to sit and talk about stuff on these associations. Might be a useful contact to see if you can reach out to.
How accessible are these people?
Well, sometimes not, sometimes yes. I mean, the great thing is a lot of these so-called experts have egos. So when you phone them up or contact them to say, I really think you're the kind, you look like an expert who could really help me. You know, they go, yeah, you bet. But they're not competitors. They're not. Their job is supposed, it should be, to publicise what their members do and what their marketplace is all about. Yeah. So if they're not willing to talk to people, then they're not doing their job. Now, you know, you've got to develop a bit of tough skin. You will get knocked back. But for every knockback, you might get an opportunity to have an interesting conversation with someone. Yeah. I'm not talking about having thousands of conversations. You know, your world could be shaped by half a dozen conversations with the right people. You know, it doesn't necessarily need that many to get you convinced to the point where you think your idea is worth a try. Yeah, one's probably not enough, but you know, when you start to get a picture, and if that picture starts to sort of point you in the direction of travel, that's good enough. And it will also help you identify those blind spots. When someone throws a curveball at you, I'm getting good at this, aren't I? Throws a curveball at you, and you think, well, no thoughts of that, crikey. Is that good or bad? You know, that's what comes with the value of conversation. So talk to people. Who should we talk to? All sorts of people, anyone you can, basically. So industry experts, people that are out there, people that speak at these things, that you know, get on the junkets that go and pronounce about the world. You know, get to speak to them. Just slide into their DMs. Do that what you do these days?
Oh God.
Yeah, but you know, contact them on LinkedIn. You know, get rub shoulders with them. Get comfortable with talking to these people.
I have
Sure.
not related to this.
You can't answer.
I mean, it's for the previous session. My question is, usually when, for example, we as a business, we need others as a potential customer trust us. And one method is we have some real example for them. For example, if you go to many websites, famous website, you see too many brands. We work with them, we are trust with them, and there are many or some at least case studies. That's why I think, okay, we can trust them. But for startups, for new businesses, I have always this problem. How can I find because I can we don't lie. We say this. To be honest, I have case study, but it's in my home country. I don't like to say that because it's another language. Even if I say, okay, this website is with my joint venture, but no. So what's your suggestion for startups that have no cases?
Okay, maybe we'll come back to that because that's when you're ready.
That's why I told it's not related.
Yeah, there is a session later on in the STEP program about how to promote your business. So that's one of the key questions, you know, faking it till you make it. But at this stage, I want to focus on, are we actually doing the right thing? Not because once we're ready to try and sell it to somebody, it's too late. You know, we're now at the point of, remember, we're not focused on the product. We're focused on the demand today. Yeah. So I can have a chat later afterwards, but if you want, because there are some things you can do. But remember, the whole focus of this is to verify that the demand we think is there is actually there. And where does it come from? Yeah, that's all we're trying to do in this part of the STEPS program. So all of these interactions are with the aim of understanding the market, understanding the demand. So people, industry experts, these people that put themselves out there, they speak at conferences, they write stuff, they publish, those conferences will be published on the internet, you know, potentially. The people who you think might become your competitor, go talk to them. You're not a competitor right now. Who are you? I'm a student. You know, I'm just a joke. You know, I've come in and stay dry. You know, I'm in an exhibition. I've walked onto your stand. I've no idea what you do. What's that thing? You know full well what you're looking at. You know, find a salesman that will spill the beans on everything. You learn stuff. I've learned more about what's going on in the industry from competitor salespeople. Now, of course, you know, after 20 years, maybe they see me coming and they all run away and this barrier falls in front of the exhibitions whenever they see me. But, you know, in the early days, you're nobody to them. Use that, you know, walk onto their stand, ask the most outrageous question. What's the worst thing that can happen to yourself? I'll tell you that. They won't. They're paid to talk. So they will talk, trust me, salespeople don't know where to stop. So, use that, walk onto someone who you've identified as a potential competitor. Talk to them, ask them about their stuff and what they do, Potential customers, obviously, if you get the chance to have a conversation with somebody who you think might be a customer for your product, that's the time to ask all those questions. Remember, this all relates to those questions that were things we need to know the answers to. And look for potential alliances as well. We talked about competitors and then are they friend or foe? The most hardest thing when you start out in business is getting that relationship with your first customers. Yeah, that's the hardest thing. You've got to, first of all, batter the door down. You've then got to get to speak to them. And so it's a hard process. And when you're just starting out, it's, as you get going, you get some momentum and that becomes easier. But right at the start, that's the hardest thing. So actually, there's people that can help you. If you can be friends with them and they're already talking to the people that you would like to talk to, they can grease the wheels and get you in front of them. I used to have a guy, I don't know why he liked us, but there was a guy who used to sell to all the people I wanted to sell to that I couldn't get through the door. And he said, I met him one day and we got chatting. He says, yeah, I can help you. I'll get a few introductions. And he got me into some of the biggest accounts that I ended up winning in the end was an introduction from my mate Brian. And he would just phone his contact up and say, hey, there's this really, young company in Nottingham. I think they're doing some interesting stuff. Would you take a meeting with him? And he'd say, yeah, for you, Brian, no problem. And I get the phone call, in I go. So people who are not your competitors, but sell stuff that's kind of related to your targets are a great way of, if you can make friends with them, then they can help ease the way into the trade association or the actual company that you want to talk to. Yeah, so you look for those and use them. Yeah. One day when you get going, you can do somebody else a favor. That's how it works. So, okay, you've now got, so what I'm saying is, yeah, there's all these inert resources out there where you can gather information that we talked about. You learn the most from talking to people. Yeah. Now, one of the consistent themes that I've met in the lab is people that freeze like rabbits in headlights when the prospect of actually talking to a potential customer arises. And I've spoken to people, what do I say? What do I do? As if there's this kind of, Obi-Wan Kenobi thing you have to do to get people to talk to you. It's really simple. And I think we just overcomplicate it in our own heads. I know that as I've worked with younger people, people interact less face-to-face these days and more digitally. So it's something that is almost evolving out of the human race. But it's really, really important to be able to do this. So the first is, don't try and be clever, as we talked about earlier. Talk about what you do and why it matters and what you want to know in basic, simple English. Yeah? You'd be surprised how many people can't do that. The key here is, it's the last point there. This is not about your idea. You are not trying to sell something. Absolutely, you are not, and you must not. You're here to learn about the market and your potential customers. That is the purpose of the conversation. In other words, shut up and listen. Yeah, ask some good questions and shut up and listen. Put it bluntly. So this is no different. We get to dangerous ground here. We'll talk about meeting a new friend. When we meet someone that we think is interesting or that we like, yeah, what mode do we go into? So what do we do? Well, I want to get to know you. I want to ask you a question, but get some information out. That's interesting. And when you get an answer, you show interest. What's the key for two people that are getting on? There's some interaction, some back and forth going on. People are asking each other questions. They're reacting to the answers. Good business conversation is no different. Bad business conversation is I come in and I talk at you for 10 minutes without you getting a word in edgeways. And then I ask you a question, at which point, you think, I don't want to answer this. So this is The preparation work is a few good questions that you want to ask. The activity work is asking those questions. Listen actively, clarify, understand, and ask more questions. That's when you're learning. We're here to learn from that person. We're not here to convince them our idea is great. We're not there yet. I want to learn from you about this subject. Yeah. That's the emphasis. So when we listen, look for the cues that we want to pick up on. Yeah. So if they say, what do you think about this? I'm interested about this. What do you think about it? Well, I think this. Now, obviously the answer is one of two things. They either agree with what you think, if you haven't told them what you think yet, but you think, yeah, okay, check. Or you go, they disagree. Cross. Yeah. Don't leave it there. Yeah. The next thing, if they say something that you want to hear, ask them the question. That's interesting. Why do you think that? Yeah. The follow-up questions are more important than the first question. What makes you think that? What evidence have you seen in the market that says that's right? Now, yeah, they might go, well, I don't know, I saw it on TikTok yesterday, in which case, okay, you've now validated the fact that their opinion may not mean that much. Yeah. On the other hand, they might say, well, actually, we've been working on this. There's these reports, there's this data. You know, okay, tick. That's a considered opinion based upon data. Therefore, it's a valid data point. And now I'm writing this down. Not my idea is brilliant because I found somebody that agreed with me. That's not validating the idea. Someone voiced an opinion that matched with your view of the world, and you know why it matched because they know more than you do at this stage. That's the validation that you're looking for. On the other hand, they might take a position that says, well, actually, you're right. I think something completely different to what you want to hear. Same question. That's interesting. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Have you not? And then you could play the devil's advocate. So you think that, have you not thought about this? And they might go, yeah, that's nonsense because, or actually, that's a good point. I've never thought about. But you see how the conversation is developing. We're not being clever business people. We're not selling. We're not asking. We're just having a conversation about stuff. I've identified you and you know stuff, and I'd like to hear your opinion about stuff. You note it down and you go away and think about it. That's the interaction that you need. And that's why talking to people is so important because not everyone is candid and open from the first second that you meet. Yeah, they might be a bit guarded at first. So you have to draw them out. You know, are you here just on a freebie and you're just trying to drain my brain of everything I know? Or so there's but no different to getting to know somebody. You know, first meeting, you don't drill into how many XYs have you got. You know, it's you start at a comfortable place and you take the conversation as far as people are willing to go with it. Yeah. But it's this question, clarify, understand, re-question. You're not there to pitch you or your stuff. They might ask you, in which case, fine, be polite, tell them. You know, it's not a secret mission. But the emphasis is you want to hear what they think. So great questions is the thing that unlocks the conversation. And they're questions that are aimed at getting data that helps you answer the questions that we put on the sheet earlier. So be engaging, look interested, please be interested, be curious, you know, ask, why do you think that? You know, politely, you know, not why would you think that? No, why do you think that? I'm interested, yeah. Be skeptical when necessary. I don't mean, yes, you say, oh, that's nonsense, you know, that's not this kind of skepticism. You know, it's like, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that. That doesn't naturally feel right to me. Why do you think that? The important point is it draws out the supplementary information, the bit they haven't told you yet, that's actually probably the most interesting bit, the bit they're holding back first time around. You know, it might take 2 or 3 questions to take that as far as it's going to go, but that's what you need to get good at doing. As I said earlier, challenge the good news and the bad. Don't just write down the good stuff. You need to challenge both. Just because they agree with you doesn't mean that you're both right. You're both equally deluded. So, you know, icebreakers. This is the last bit. You know, when you're trying to get that discussion with somebody, I don't know, this is just my style, you know, I'm trying to get some, you know, however you get to start a conversation, whether it's, you know, virtually or whether it's face to face. Look, You know, I've got a business idea. I'm a complete novice in this marketplace. You seem to me to be the ideal person who could help me. You know, absolutely promise you this isn't a sales pitch, but I would love to be able to have a discussion with you to help me understand my target market better. Could you spare me some time to do that? Doesn't sound too tough, does it? For God's sake, do not give them a sales pitch. You know, keep your promise. If you dare go in there and start to sell the benefits of your idea, you will fail because you've broken your promise. You know, no one wants to talk to a salesperson. Yeah, rule of life number one. You don't, do you? Yeah. So why would anybody else? So you're here because you think they're an expert, you think they can help you, and you'd love to have some of their time to help you understand the world a bit better than you do today. You know, that for most people, that will get you a conversation. Yeah. There's not many people saying that, are they? Not interested. Yeah, some might, but just shrug it off and go and find somebody else. Yeah. But most people, and you'd be surprised, you know, I've had some really helpful conversations based on a pitch, not unlike that. It works. So get comfortable with doing that because that is the most valuable way to find stuff out. And, you know, it's not just about what they say, it's how they say it. You know, so the body language, the look, the nervous look to the side when you ask a question says, I've hit a nerve there for some reason. Why is that? That's the stuff you get face to face that you don't get off the internet when you're reading reports. So gather the data, look for these information sources, put it all out there on the table, try and make some sense out of it, see how it relates to that list of questions that we had, and form your view. And then for the rest of your life, every conversation you have and every interaction you have, don't. Every day you go to work and meet somebody new, think, is this an opportunity to validate or disqualify some of my ideas about my little world in business? Yeah. And keep doing it. So back to the homework. The idea is that's your list of questions. I know you're not. What we're doing, I said, it's conceptually easy, but it's hard to do. Yeah. So pick off the ones you think you know the answer to and you can find, get that down, get it checked off. Are you happy with that answer or not? The stuff that's more difficult, it's going to take longer, but you're working on it, yeah? And you carry on working on it until you're satisfied that, remember the objective? There is a demand for my idea. I know why there's a demand. I know who has the demand. I know what they're doing today, and I know how much pain that's causing them, and I know what that pain is worth to them. That is the foundation of verifying your business idea. Once you've done that, you can go forward, write your financial forecast, work out how you're going to do it. Yeah, but do not skip that first step. Is my heartfelt advice to all you young entrepreneurs. Yeah. Or skip it at your peril. Remember, what was it? 80%? Yeah. Don't be a statistic, be a success. What a great way to finish. I didn't even make
Wait a minute, so this is where I have to make Graham feel very uncomfortable. I'm very British and I'm very American. So.
I've given the nod to your culture.
It's like this. But Graham, honestly, just to rewind, for you to be a student here, you know, developing yourself, go through your career, build businesses with your team, retire, come back and say to us, how can I help? And then bring your wealth and knowledge to us. We're not paying Graham. He is. We're having like an open day or something. Graham he went to the alumni department first, came and found me and said, I want to give back. And so I won't be able to really verbalize what that looks like, but you just don't know how you impact us. And I hear entrepreneurs all the time mentioning your name. I just really want to say thank you from all of us. This was a very, very quality session today. We really enjoyed it and it was fantastic and you are fantastic.
Oh.
Let me tell you why I do it. So when I started out in business with two mates, I think I was 24. And we left comfortable jobs and started out on our own. And we'd not been to business school, we'd not been to the ingenuity lab. We knew nothing about anything. No business, no idea, literally no idea of what we were doing. And we had 2 or 3 gentlemen who were considerably older, about my age, in fact, who had been big successes in industry. And for some reason, I don't know how we met them, I can't remember that bit, but they liked us and they gave us their time. They ended up charging us eventually, but initially it was free, to try and stop us from becoming a statistic when we started out. So that's why I do it. But yeah, thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Great.
Can
Where
we
do we
have
go?
presentation slides?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, so this was session 1. Yeah, now you have to do the hard bit, right? This is what we're interested in, you actually doing the work over the next month. This is not a round table. We don't want you to take this information, go away and say, hey, wasn't that a good session? We are now putting the pressure back onto you to now do the work. So we hand the baton to you. Yep.
And just to add to the pressure, so the next session, steps 2, is about your financial projections, for which you will need to know where your first customers are, how many of them there are, and what you're going to charge them. So it's hard to do a good job of the next bit until you've at least got some of those parameters, because the first question will be, what's the unit price of what you're going to sell, and how many times are you going to sell it in the first year? So that's how these modules sort of join together.
Yeah.
But first things first, you've got to validate, is my idea sound? What could I charge for it? And then we can start doing the fun stuff about working how much money we're going to make and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and the bad news is, if you don't do step 1, you're not going to step 2. It's the first time we've ever told somebody that in one of these kind of programs. So yeah, it's like one of those look to your left and look to your right.
So with the questions, what do you do? What do you do? Send it to who?
So we'll email you sort of the logistics, but you just need to get to work now on working on answering these questions, improving.
Yeah, and you're not doing it for us, remember, you're doing it for yourselves, for your idea. Yeah, so that's the motivation. It isn't like, just doing the work to get an essay mark. It's not like that. This is what you need to do. The value comes from you internalizing it and doing it, because that would help you take your business forward more safely and more successfully than if you don't.
Yeah.
Can we try it on more than one idea?
In what sense? What, with each other, or with there's some mentoring?
Yeah, he means rather than one business idea, because usually we ask you for one idea.
Yes.
And he's saying, what if he has more than one idea?
There's a lot of work here. I'd pick your favourite idea and go to work on that, or the one you think needs the most work on it, where you haven't done this before. But yeah, I think there's too much to do it multiple times, would be my advice. Focus is everything in business.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone has asked when the next session is. Do you know roughly?
Yeah, so we actually have an itinerary. If you haven't received it already, we'll send it out to you guys. It'll be on the other side of Christmas.
Yeah, it's in January sometime. So you've got a bit of time to do this.
Yeah, you've got time.
And the other modules won't require, the financial plan will not take as long as getting the answers to these questions. So it's good that there's a bit of a gap. You'll have nothing else to do over Christmas.
Yeah. Final painful thing. If you have 2 minutes that you can give us, Alex and Peggy would love to just have you answer just a couple of questions from today. If you can just have 2 minutes, this is just for marketing purposes because we are business, right? So yeah, if you have 2 minutes, we would really appreciate that because you're all here in person.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Some of the questions here, I recognize them from Validate, the business model that we did for
Good.
Scale.
Yeah.
And I guess from scales, we learned that our validate is a evolving model
Yeah.
or model.
Mhm.
So
She's talking about that online business plan thing. Yeah.
if I couldn't find answers to those there, I guess he's given us a whole list of